that's the negative limit on your life.
The worst thing that ever happens, falling down the stairs.
Yeah, like there's nothing else as bad as that. You might vomit. Like vomiting could be pretty bad, but other than that, like if you've fallen down the stairs at 5 years old, in most cases you've survived the worst that life will throw at you at that point. And I like that.
For me, being 5 is kind of like knowing what tastes bad and not to put that in my mouth.
What?
I echo Niamh's sentiment, but I'm also not surprised.
Like, you know certain things taste bad and you don't know why, but there's a reason you know they taste bad, because a very long time ago...
Yeah, because you can look around a room and you know how everything in that room tastes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's because you put it in your mouth as a stupid baby.
Oh, yeah. Like wood.
Oh, yeah. I know how wood tastes.
Stuff from the body.
No. I never understood those kids that were like eating their own mucus, like some kind of strange insect.
Well, they're afraid to lose a part of themselves.
Yeah, it's gotta test that immune system, John.
That's really fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
How about people who eat their own hair?
You gotta eat your own hair. How does it grow back?
Yeah.
I could never eat my own hair.
You go bald.
I think for me it was like watching the cats like licking their own fur and being like, what the fuck are you doing, lads?
Okay, here's my situation. You go on a date with someone.
Okay.
It was a great date and you end up back in their house. You're on the bed.
Is this a first date?
Let's say second. Could be a first.
The first one went great and things are looking up.
Yeah, this is the second date. And you're in their house.
I'm already stressed that we're going too fast, but keep going.
Okay, you're in their house, you're on their bed, they're in the bathroom, and they're just like, give me a moment. And you're like, oh, sweet. And you pat the pillow, and you're like, is this feathers? Because it feels a little weird. And you're like, maybe I have a slight allergy to feathers. And for some reason, you see a little bit of dark hair poking out. And you look through the pillowcase, and it's full of human hair. Is that a I am fucking out of here situation, or is that a...
Niamh, tell me more about this person.
Are they like posh? Are they into kind of like specialist objects?
Not that you know of. They didn't have any signifying like jewelry or anything on them that would maybe hint that they're into like collecting specialist objects.
Because I think
like to me it's like, oh, I really like this brand of towels. They cost like €100 per towel.
Yeah.
I think my immediate concern would be, this is a witch.
I presume for you that would be an immediate concern.
Yeah, but also that would kind of, because I have a great fear of witches, but perhaps being with one romantically
would alleviate that fear.
Yeah, maybe that's how I do it.
So would you not say anything about the hair pillow, or would you ask straight away about the hair pillow?
If I was into someone, I think I could logically, if I was like into someone and I was like, okay, this is going to happen, I think I could logically find a way to convince myself, be like, you know when it'd be a great time to ask about this? Tomorrow morning.
Yeah, because
yes,
like
okay.
You're going to be there sleeping on the, well, yeah, like hopefully you forget about it.
If we're on our first date and they have seduced me back to their home, I must be pretty fucking into them.
Okay, you're super into them and you've touched the hair pillow and you've gone, okay, this is the morning's question, and that's what you've done.
This is tomorrow morning's
She comes
problem.
out, I'm saying it's a woman because that's where we're at. She comes out and she's very interested in your hair and your head.
Okay, I get what's...
There's a lot of touching of your head specifically and holding of your hair and running it through her fingers. Are you like, ooh, is that like another lover's hair?
No, because I'm such a dumb fuck, I'd be like, oh, she's really into me.
But you know the hair pillow exists, so you haven't put those two together.
Niamh, I don't know how you don't know this about me after 129 episodes. I'm a very simple person.
Okay.
He's pushed out any clues.
So he's been blinded of the boobie. Bryan, what about you? Are you like, oh my god, leave my hair alone?
I am not blinded by the boobie. I am glared by the hair. I cannot... What the fuck is wrong with this person? I don't like the hair stuff.
I would be honestly kind of worried about how fucked up a person would have to be for me to kind of really stop at this point. Although I think I told this story before on the podcast. The girl with the cats. with the dozens and dozens of cats.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes,
The one
yes.
with all the books.
Yeah,
That story's really sad.
it's really sad.
Yeah. No, it isn't a sad cat story. It's a woman with an eclectic hair pillow story.
Like,
No,
she's
no, I will romance this beautiful witch.
Oh, okay.
Like, she probably knows a lot of good restaurants and stuff as well. Like, she's very cultured.
I
Yeah.
like this woman. What about you, Niamh?
I think I'd have to ask about the hair like straight away.
Really?
Yeah, I'd be like, okay, you're very beautiful because that's why I'm here. But what's with the hair pillow?
Okay. And her answer is, okay, look, I'm going to be honest with you here. I don't like revealing this straight away. I'm just very into like homeopathic medicine, and I have been told that it has restorative powers. Frankly, I don't really believe it myself. I just wanted to try it out for a couple of nights. I totally forgot the hair. I'm sorry if that makes you feel weird.
I would be like, bullshit. If you don't really believe in it, but you've a pillow full of human hair. Like
It's my hair. It's my hair.
if you don't really believe in it, you maybe have a salt lamp. You don't have
then-
like a hair pillow.
No,
And then she goes,
this
okay.
is a long-term project.
And then she's like, okay, look, I'm sorry. You're completely right. And she throws out the pillows and she gets normal pillows. At that point, are we back on track?
I think I'd be like, first of all, don't change for me. Like, if your conviction is the hair
You
pillow.
failed the ultimate test.
Looks like you don't believe in anything. I'm out, baby. Keep your hair pillow, because that's all that's keeping you warm at night.
So that's it.
Yeah.
Is there any way she could convince you to stay at that point?
Maybe if she... Well, I'd probably stay, but I probably won't call her back.
Okay, Niamh, you stay and you have...
Did this happen to you?
Yeah, this could totally be one of those things where she turns around.
Because the other way before we were talking about like experiences in life and lessons learned.
Okay, Niamh, so you decide to stay and you have a wonderful experience with this person, and it's like very late into the night and you're kind of sleeping, and like it is a soft bed, you know, and it is weird about the hair, but like it's fine. But the next thing you feel kind of something strange and you just hear like snip, snip, and you can feel something on your head.
Oh... Yeah.
I'm guessing you'd be out of there.
I'd be out of there. I'd be like, okay.
Because to me, I'd be kind of like, well, now this is definitely going to have to come up tomorrow morning.
How about like you hear?
So just snip, snip.
No.
Not even snips, just gobbling.
There's no snipping, and then your scalp is getting a bit damp, and she's using her teeth rather than a scissors.
She's like a goat.
Yeah.
Okay, so hair pillow won't turn you off. What about toenail candle?
Okay, what is that?
I don't know, a candle made from toenails.
Okay, so just a jar of toenails with, or no, the toenails mixed in with the wax.
Yeah, but it's very obviously toenails.
Oh, see, now at that point, it's like, how into this person am I? Because now we're getting into territory of like, I don't know about this.
But what happens is she's like, oh look, it was like, I saw it in a shop and I thought it was freaky, so I bought it. Are you worried about the person who thought the toenail candle was something they needed to own?
No, at that point, I'd be like, all right.
Yeah, I'd probably be
Okay.
okay with that. I wouldn't
Yeah.
be that freaked out
So
about it.
if they bought it, it's fine. But if they made it themselves, it's a no-no.
Well, if they bought it, you see, at this point, Niamh, like my brain is scrambling for excuses to not worry about this. Okay, so if they provide me with that much, if they like just tip the boulder over the edge, I can just flip the rest of it and be like, fuck it, who cares?
I like an interesting candle. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it's vanilla. It's nice.
Yeah.
So what about a hair candle, Bryan?
That won't even smell good.
Oh no, I don't know. No, look, I just don't like hair stuff.
I can't believe toenails freak you out less than hair.
Yeah, consider that both like, yeah, they both grow continuously often.
And hair's probably clean.
Probably.
But like, I just think with like toenails, people know exactly what they're like. They're more honest about themselves. I think someone with hair.
What the fuck are you talking?
Because toenails are gross anyway. Like, I just think, like, look,
I
toenails...
think people would be really dishonest there. Like, what state are you guys' toenails in? Right? Actually, no, let's not. Let's not.
Hey,
I
I'm
kind of
wearing,
get what
I'm
you're
wearing
saying,
sandals.
though. Like that, like someone who has a toenail candle is putting it all out there, but someone with a hair pillow, there might be.
Okay, yeah, see, to me...
Is the spooky thing about the hair pillow that you were going to lie on it and they weren't going to tell you?
Yeah, like
Okay.
it's just a normal addition to their bed when it's really not. Where a toenail candle is out there and you can all see that it's fucking weird.
Yeah, I really don't think people are going to try and defend a toenail candle, but someone will try and defend hair stuff.
I can't believe hair weirds you out more than toenails.
I just think hair in a jar, because you're just like... What's going on there, buddy?
I'm going to give you so much hair in a jar for your next birthday, Bryan.
You should. I'll give you a big toenail candle. I make my own candles, you know I do.
Welcome. Let's Fight a Boss video game podcast. The world's strongest video game podcast. I am sitting here with two of the best damn toenail clippers this side of the world. To my left, it's the big toe. It's Bryan.
The trick is to cut it at a right angle to stop it from getting ingrown.
And to my right, it's one snip. It's Niamh.
I'm really rusty.
So one snip for like the entire foot?
Yeah, it's just
like you have to
the
line
tops of your toes.
It's
line it
incredible.
up.
Like, it's a gift. And with you always, on behalf of the nameless one, it's John.
Do you not have a name?
I do. It's John.
Would you not be called like, you know, Snipper McClippers or like Naily?
Give us a few more.
Really.
Naily's pretty good. Big bag of smelly hair.
No. I'm never. I can't be in on the gimmick.
Helga hair.
Yeah.
Helga hair?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, I'm Helga.
Helga hair. How about like a pillowcase of toenails? How about like
That'd have to be one fucking hot person.
Yeah.
yeah.
Is that not even a soft pillow?
Like, I think at that point, I'm like, okay, we're going to do what we're going to do, and then I'm gone.
Let's have some freaky sex. Goodbye.
Let's do it, and then I'm going to spend the rest of my life purging this memory.
That pillow has been in that family for generations.
Does that...
they keep adding to it.
Oh.
Maybe we shouldn't do a video game podcast. Maybe we'll just keep going with these scenarios and find out where all our mental limits are. Oh, guys, after maybe like nearly 2 decades, I finished the comic book The Boys.
Whoa.
Have either of you read this?
I started it and then just switched to the TV series. But I remember reading it in college.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Memory's a bit shaky.
This does not age great.
I bet it's full of a lot of edgy humor.
It's the edgiest shit in the world. Like, the two main characters, like both their motivations is their girlfriends were fridged in different super hero related ways. It's a weird series. So if you're not familiar, The Boys is basically about this. It's this Garth Ennis series about this government agency called The Boys, and this is a world where superheroes exist and they are the biggest thing in the world. They're kind of like celebrities and superheroes and social media stars all kind of rolled into the one, and with the absolute like worst tendencies of each. It's a fun series in some ways. Like, it is creative and it's interesting, and they really convincingly make these superheroes just the absolute biggest pieces of shit in the world. Like, they're awful. They're so awful. And the main one is kind of interesting. He's the Homelander, and he's like this... He's kind of like Captain America meets Superman, except like he's a complete fucking psychopath.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting how they... Like just what a nightmare they make that character. I get the feeling they do it like in a way. I haven't seen like Albright, or what was the name of that superhero film that came out?
Bright?
Not Bright.
Is this the one with little evil superhero
Yeah.
Superman? Oh.
Brightburn, isn't it?
Yeah, Brightburn. Big criticism I heard about that was that like he's just evil and that's kind of it, and like there's not really any logic to it. But with like this guy, the Homelander, there's this super like that real like celebrity extreme thing where he's just done all the drugs, he's had sex with all the people, he's done everything, and he's barely human anymore. And stuff like that, this series does really well. I do think like it's aged bad. Like there's a lot of edgy humor in there. There's the initial pitch of like these guys are going to keep watch over the superheroes is really, really strong. But as the series goes on, the plot just meanders and meanders. And like, you know, there's one book where we spend like 8 chapters in Scotland, and it's like not really to do with superheroes at all. It's just wee Huey, who's the main character, going home, and it's not really that interesting. And I really struggled to get through parts of it. And one thing like it does do very well is like the guy Garth Ennis is really good at planting payoffs. He is very good at making you wonder what a thing is and then revealing that thing. Like one of the big things is there's a character in it called Mother's Milk, and Mother's Milk gets his powers from the basement, and you don't find what's in that basement for a long, long time. And then when you finally see it, it's like, wow, that was not a letdown. Like it was something, but it was not a letdown. It's weird though, because like it kind of has this like 10 big massive story, right? So like there's the story against the superheroes, and like it takes so fucking long to get there, and it did not need to be that long. And then when you get there, the final showdown, it's very like anticlimactic in a lot of ways. Like there's no real struggle, you know what I mean? There's no real big conflict or anything. And but then when that conflict ends, there's a really fun reveal that I won't say because it would just take too long to explain, but there is a really fun reveal. But then there's the reveals to do with like Black Noir, the kind of Batman-y character in it, and it is fun what they do with him for sure. But and then after that, so the superheroes aren't the problem anymore, and there's an additional arc after that. And that's to do with one of the boys turning evil and the battle to take him down. And it's just kind of shit. Like, it's not good at all.
He was evil all along.
It was his plan the whole time. Yeah. It's fun. It's like a fun first volume if you're into like really extreme, gross out kind of comics. And like, it is a fun like just taking a part of superhero culture and just like making them the worst characters they could possibly be. I really would struggle to recommend like the whole thing. There's a reason it took me so long to get through, and I'm not super pumped about it now that I have. But I mean, Garth Ennis definitely has other stuff that is way more worth checking out. Bryan,
yes,
tell me about Japan Sinks.
Japan Sinks 2020. I've about halfway through this anime. It came out on Netflix earlier this month. Have you been watching it too?
Yeah.
Have you finished it as well, or are you just?
No, I think I'm just the first episode.
Okay. I think I'm like 4 or 5 episodes in, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I don't watch a lot of anime, but the 2 anime series I've watched this year were both from Science Saru, because they also did Hands Off Izoken, and I really love this studio, and I think it's super cool that they keep churning out new projects after project. I don't know if this is like directed by Misaki Uasa, or is he just a creative director, because it seems like he stepped down from his role in the studio. It's more ceremonial. They're kind of giving other people a shot now. I think it's a collaboration with a Korean studio as well. There's a lot of Korean names on it. And it's based on a book from the 1970s about a big tsunami hitting Japan, and a family struggling to survive afterwards.
Yeah.
Jesus.
There's like I don't even know how to describe it. There's like a violence to the way the natural disasters are depicted that's like horrific.
Yeah.
Like it's like a lot of the time what I find happens is like there's no build up, there's no warning, there's no scientist looking at screens being like, oh my god, it's just it happens, and the character and like the sound design
Sounds
it
amazing.
just shakes you, and like the characters are in shock, but like you're in shock as well from like, oh my god, what the fuck just happened, you know?
So like I've watched a lot of Roland Emmerich disaster movies and Hollywood blockbuster disaster movies. This is like an animated cartoon, and I'm only halfway through it, so I'm not sure what the rest of it's going to be like, but like this is a genuinely convincing piece of media where I believe
It's chilling.
that what's happened has actually happened, and these poor people are reacting in a genuine way.
Yeah.
Does it open with the tsunami? Like, does it happen? Like, does it happen in the first few episodes?
About 10 minutes into the first episode.
Yeah.
That's like a lot of the time with disaster movies, the thing is currently happening and it's getting away from the thing, and it's not like the aftermath
Well, yeah.
kind of a thing.
No, this is definitely about picking up pieces, and the idea that is that the tsunami hits Japan, but then slowly Japan starts sinking.
Oh, jeez.
And it's kind of like different plates of Japan are kind of sinking one after another, and it's kind of framed like a really, really depressing Little Miss Sunshine, because you just have this like really quirky family that they're all kind of like unique to each other, and there's an extended version of the family, and people kind of like pop in and out of that family, and once per episode something really awful happens. And it gets more and more harrowing, and like it gets to the point where like there's moments of like serene, calm happiness, and like the main cast are always trying to be positive about the situation, and something awful will happen and you're like, oh no.
There's a part where they're just standing around talking, like it's a very normal, nice part, and then next thing, like there's a thud and they look over and there's like a dead body like 5 feet away from them. And you're like, what the fuck? And they look up into the trees, and there's dead bodies in the trees. And it's because there was a helicopter flying over that a load of people were trying to get on so they could get away. And a bunch of people ended up clinging and falling from this helicopter. And oh my god, it's kind of awesome, honestly. Like
it does a genuine depiction, and like
I really don't like disaster movies, because I feel like a lot of them are like just you know, here's what they were like before, and now it's during, and then the last 10 minutes are after, and the dog survived, you know? It's like, it's a lot of the same stuff. This feel like, I totally get you, Brian. Like, this feels convincing and real in a way that I haven't seen a lot of.
No, and like, it's more about the human threats later on, and
fuck,
that gets covered a bit, but then it's more like other invisible threats that make complete sense, but you would not realize, or like it's really well considered what is dangerous after an earthquake.
It's also beautiful, like especially some of the background layouts.
I think the backgrounds are really nice. So some of the animation in some episodes is amazing. I think some of the animation in the vehicles is kind of ropey looking.
I've seen one or two like drawings of the characters as well. They're like a little awkward. They draw necks in that show so weird.
They do, yeah, because
so many lines.
Because sometimes people look like they're rotoscoped.
Yeah.
But then they don't. I really love the family. I love the mom so much.
Yeah, she's great.
I think it's cool that it's like a mixed race family as well. The mom's Filipino.
Yeah, she's just this giant Filipino woman.
Yeah, and then the dad, and I love the dad as well. The daughter, I'm not a fan of. The son, who keeps speaking English because he keeps watching YouTubers or he keeps watching YouTube, and he just speaks loads of English. He's brilliant.
Yeah, he's great.
That's such an interesting idea as well. On top of it,
yeah, but it really like. Each episode has something really sad happen in it, and it gets to the point where you're like, okay, that's the sad thing over, but then there might be like a second sad thing.
And like, I'm worried about that, because like it was so weird, because I was watching the first 5 minutes and I was like, yep, it's an anime. And then the fucking tsunami hits, the earthquake hits, and like immediately I was like, this is something completely different. And it's great. It really made me think about like, fuck, like, you know, everything you have could just be gone, and then what are you?
Yep. There's some good stuff as well where they're like watching the news and the government is telling people one thing, but then they're just checking social media and it's a completely other thing, and they're just like, look, they're saving face. This is a way bigger threat or problem than it actually is, because I know that was the thing with the Fukushima incident almost 10 years ago, that they were like, it's safe to go back, but it wasn't. And it was just presenting a problem smaller than it is.
Yeah.
And so it definitely has that commentary, and the fact that like it takes place in 2020, but it's a version of 2020 where the Olympics went ahead, and it's them dismantling the stadiums shortly after, and everyone has that like rush of like positivity that the Olympics went down so well and that Japan is on the up and up.
It's weird. I was watching a pay-per-view on WWE Network recently, and this ad for Applebee's came on, and the whole tone of the ad was like, welcome back to Applebee's, it's great to see you again. And it's like, what the fuck, are you serious?
Dude, chill.
Yeah.
Maybe in a year or two, but not right now, buddy.
Yeah.
It's a very sad show. I'm going to keep watching it, but I'm going to take it very slowly with this one because it's very upsetting.
I think I might need to hook this shit to my veins.
Yep, it's a real John of a humding.
Good show. Guys, I watched God of High School, or at least the first 2 episodes.
Is this the new shonen summer anime?
Yes, it is. But more specifically, what this feels like, the way I describe this is it's like, imagine someone walked by a Tekken arcade cabinet and the opening was playing, and they watched the opening and they were like, I'm gonna make an entire anime that feels exactly like this.
That sounds pretty cool.
It's fucking great. I'm having such a good time with this. All it is just hot people punching each other, and I don't even have that much to say about it. It's just really, really fun. Starts off, you got your anime boy meets some crazy friends around the city. They're all entering the God of High School tournament. Second half of the first episode's a big battle royale. The second episode's just full of fights. Then you get a little scene with the 3 friends at night, and they all talk about why they've entered the tournament. And then there's more fighting, and I'm just delighted. This is all I want. Just everyone leave me alone and just let me watch this, please.
Is it based on a manga? Is it from Shonen Jump or something?
It's based on a Korean manhwa.
All right.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Yep. And it's really like it's really stupid, but it's really fun. Like the opening shot is of an island, and there's a massive handprint in the island, and someone just going, "My God, he's back!" And then we cut to the tournament. Like that's this show, and it looks great. It's such an like it's like it looks like anime, but like not super typical anime. Like the way they draw the noses is really distinct, and it feels like it does have like a kind of like, you know, non-Japanese flavor to it that I really, really think helps. I watch this every Saturday morning, and it makes me very happy. Niamh, why don't you tell us about Relic?
Me and Bryan have watched this one, I think.
It's an Australian horror movie that came out at the beginning of the year as part of Sundance, I believe, and usually with Sundance films they go down real well, but it'll be 6-7 months until it gets a distribution. And it's from I've got it up here.
Yeah, it's a directorial debut by Natalie Erica James, and it reminds me a lot of The Babadook. Yeah,
definitely.
Sold.
I love Australian horror movies where it's just people who live in isolated environments. This is definitely one of those films.
Yep. And
just a lot of weird guilt and people either being super blunt with each other or saying nothing at all.
This film is about it's about generations of family. It's about a 20-something-year-old girl, her mother, and her mother. They go to their grandmother, the mother's house, because she's gone missing, and there's a fear that she's dementia, and they're trying to find her, and they can't for I think like 3 days or something like insane like that.
Yeah, they're just waiting around and there's no update.
And she finally comes back home, and they're like, "Mom, where have you been? Gran, where have you been?" And they're trying to like get her to communicate with them, and she just is unable to verbalize where she's been or what has happened. And then from there is one of the most slow burn horrors like I've seen in ages. It reminds me of It Comes at Night or something like that.
It's incredibly slow.
It's incredibly slow, but it's something you have to kind of keep your attention to, because there's like ghostly figures standing in the background that you could miss, because like they're not jump scares. Like at one stage I thought one of them was a banister, you know, and I was like, is that a person?
I love that.
And like it's this real like slow plodding kind of thing where it feels like it feels like a conversation about dementia, like oh, this is what it's trying to do. It's trying to talk about dementia and just like the failings of your mind and how scary that is for the person and the family around them to kind of watch someone forget. But as it continues to go, it becomes less about dementia and more about neglect. And if you love film and just media in general about impossible spaces or houses as a character, then this is just for you. It has all of that. There's a great line where the older woman says in it, she was like, this house is everything I have, it's my memories. And then later on the house is rotting from the inside out. And it just like, it works as a fantastic metaphor for neglect, for dementia, for all of that stuff. But it is also fucking scary as shit. Like it is really, really good.
Oh, you were selling me so hard on this.
Yeah, it's like 90% drama and 10% horror, but like the bits, like the horror bits, are very, very strong.
Mm-hmm. And it's very sad.
It's a very sad movie.
It's a very sad horror. Like the Babadook, it is based on a lot of real, genuine fears of like aging, death, your parents aging, like, and because it's like this generational like family kind of thing, it's like this fear reflected down the line kind of. But yeah, one of the best horrors I've seen in a really long time. Really good. I can't believe this is a directorial debut. I can't wait to see what else she makes, because it really, in an hour and a half, it got its message across, and it got it well.
You had a good time with this, Bryan?
I only thought it was okay. I love the last 10 minutes, but the film definitely has like very, very long moments where people are just washing plates in the kitchen, but you're meant to have the tension there, and I didn't have the tension all the time. I'd like it builds up towards the end, and the ending is fantastic, and like that fucking thing.
Ugh. I actually rewatched Hereditary recently. Man, that movie's a fun rewatch. The amount of shit, like, it's great.
I thought it'd be a bit more like Hereditary, where like you have a sense of dread throughout, but I didn't get that sense of dread with it, unfortunately.
So is it more like there's a kind of drama playing out and the horror is on the fringes of that?
Well, it's more like the horror is like the sadness of like a woman losing her mind, and it's this real slow thing where like there's a scene where she gives her granddaughter her wedding ring, and the granddaughter's like, no, I can't take this, but she convinces her, and then later on the grandmother sees it on her hand and she's like, are you stealing from me? And she freaks out and she attacks her and tries to take the ring. So it's kind of these slow moments that build up to bigger moments, like it's a real accumulation kind of thing.
Cool.
But yeah, for I'd say the first hour, very little, like it really does remind me of It Comes at Night. It's like you say the dread didn't really work for you, and I don't know if it went for dread for me. It kind of went for personal horror.
It's definitely a very, very personal film.
Personal horror is that's a strong thing I'd love to see more studios explore. This maybe is a shitty example, but like one of the scariest moments I ever found in Buffy the Vampire Slayer is that episode where her mom's getting dementia, and Buffy says something about an exam, and her mom just, I'm not going to say the line because I can't remember it properly and it won't work, but like her mom gives her this complete like just bizarre non sequitur of an answer, and like Buffy's like, it's this moment where Buffy's like, what? And that to me, like, that was more scary than those creepy floating fuckers who are also quite scary. But like that moment always stuck with me because I just felt like, oh my god, like imagine experiencing that, you know? The
Buffy episode that has stuck with me forever is when she finds her mom dead.
Yeah. Oh, on the couch.
Yeah.
And it's like the mommy.
Yeah, and it's just burned into my mind. And because like Buffy's like stronger than an average human, she tries to do chest compressions on her mother and she caves her chest in, which can happen when people don't do it properly. Yeah. But a really arresting, scary, upsetting scene that just the best of Buffy. Really.
Yeah.
I really want to go back and watch Buffy. I hope it ages well.
A lot of it's still good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, let's say we move into our strategy talk.
I really want to rewatch Angel.
Oh my
I used
god.
to love Angel.
Angel's so good.
Yeah, I remember watching when I was younger and being like, this is different, and not realizing later on that it was supposed to be like a neo-noir, like fucking detective story.
Yep.
Sure?
I bet that's a fun rewatch.
Yeah.
Oh, Spike was so cool. Guys, I played Curse of the Moon 2.
Is it just called Curse of the Moon 2?
I think so, yeah.
It's not called Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2?
Maybe.
Do you want to call it like John Stained Curse of the Moon 2?
Sure.
Okay, John Stained Curse of the Moon 2. John, tell us about your stain.
Were you building to that from the start of that?
No, but it just sort of...
Yeah,
I like how it came out.
Yeah, no, you got there.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the sequel to Curse of the Moon, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, which Kickstarter thing that we all really dug a lot. And you open up with this game and it's like, it is so immediate, and it's like, oh fuck yeah, I remember why Curse of the Moon was so good, because like the first level takes place on a train. It's absolutely beautiful. The colors are really, really cool. There's like an amazing looking like weird dragon boss at the end of it, and like the art quality nearly seems higher than the first game. And it's cool. There's a lot of little kind of improvements. There's like these little cutscenes. Basically, you gather a little party now, but what I find is each party member has a lot more personality than they did in the first one. It's like an old, very old, like nearly kind of 8-bit style 2D, like old school Castlevania game before it went like Metroidy. And it's a lot of little things. Like there's these little cutscenes in between levels of you and your party camping, and in each part of it they're like doing something different. And it's like, you know, there's like the girl and she really likes to mess with like the other guys, and there's like an old cranky man, and it's fun and it's cool, and like I was really having a very, very good time with it. And it is very good, but I feel like there's something that's kind of, I guess, taken away from my enjoyment a little bit. And it comes when you get the fourth character. The fourth character is a little Shiba Inu who drives a mech.
Huh.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? That sounds cool.
It is. And like, I like the character, and like I don't like that game's...
Seems aesthetically out of place.
It's aesthetically out of place, but if you played much Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, it's not that out of place, you know? And like these games can get a bit silly with like their enemies and stuff, so I'll believe it. And it's driving like the steampunk mech. The problem is that the mech is so good. Like, it has loads of health. It does like 2 to 4 times as much damage as the other characters, and its special ability is that it goes invincible. It can also hover, and it's invulnerable to spike attacks, and it can do all this shit.
Okay, so it breaks the game.
It kind of breaks the game a bit, because if you guys remember Curse of the Moon, what was cool about that is like the levels were so specifically designed, and it's like, okay, I should use this character for this bit, I need this character to get past this enemy, I need this sub ability on this bit to get past this bit. And it was really fun like putting together levels like that. And a lot of the time now I'm just like, I'm gonna use the dog and I'm just gonna beat the shit out of everything. And like, there's some really cool looking bosses in this, but with the dog there's never a better tactic than, okay, you can switch between your characters at will, and like all the characters share like 30 magic points, and there's never a better tactic than just turning into the dog, going invulnerable, and just punching the boss's weak spot for 10 seconds. And you will kill some bosses outright with that tactic, and then some of them you will knock off like the majority of their health. And it's a shame, because it really takes away from what this game is, you know?
So it lacks that fair balance to it.
It does. Now, in fairness, Bloodstained was a really weird experience where you could play it, and then when you play it again, you could instead kill your allies and gain different abilities from them, and that totally changed the kind of game it was. And then I think there was a third playthrough where you lose your main character and you only play with the allies, and that adds a whole other dimension to it. So I could see them doing something with that, but I feel like giving you this super overpowered character halfway through the story really it does eke out a lot of the really like tight game design, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That said, if you liked Curse of the Moon, you'll like this. Like, it is in a lot of ways it's better, but in some ways, in this one way, I think it's much worse. But I'm on the last level. I'm gonna beat it, and maybe they're gonna do some cool stuff post credits. But that was a little disappointing, especially because it's this one element. And again, Corgi in a mech, cool.
Shiba Inu in a
Shiba,
mech.
yes.
Shiba Inu.
It's hard to tell with the pixels.
He's got the curly tail, doesn't he?
I think so. I think he does.
I love animals and mechs. I think it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it never gets old. Niamh, tell us about Resident Evil 7.
I finished it again.
I
needed a
with that
break.
weird looking Chris.
Yeah, I needed a break from playing games that people were talking about. So I decided to play Resident Evil 7, and it was a fantastic time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if someone wants just fucking fun, then here it is. That game, like, I remember first playing it, and I kind of thought the second half was pretty weak compared to the first half in the house, and it isn't as intense as the first half. The first half is the Baker family, so you're going through Jack, who's like nemesising you around the house, walking through walls, just chasing you. You go through Marguerite, who's like a horrible bug boss, where you have to use like blow torches to kill bugs and kill her. And you go through Lucas, who has the fun home kind of thing where you have to go through a basically escape room to get to complete his part.
He's got that room full of balloons.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
I actually popped every single balloon.
Me too.
Because it's so satisfying. Mm-hmm. And I thought there'd be an achievement there, or trophy.
I thought there would be something hidden underneath it or something, but there wasn't.
No.
Then you get onto the tankard and you play as Mia, and you have your arsenal, and now it's like Resident Evil 3 make or like 6, where you're just shooting shit, and that's honestly quite fun. Like you have like bombs that you can just blow up, and I quite enjoyed blowing up mold monsters. But yeah, went through it again, and my opinion is even higher of that game. I think it's just a lot of fun.
Do you guys mind if I say a few words?
Go for it.
As the hardcore Resident Evil fan of this podcast, even I'll acknowledge that first 3 hours of that game, fucking 10 out of 10. That first family member, amazing.
I'm driving, boy.
Yeah, oh my god. You have like the hardcore wrestling match with him in the...
Wait, he's a big giant scissors, doesn't he?
He has the chainsaw scissors, and you have another chainsaw, and you can, it's very good.
What the fuck
Whole
is that game?
Fight. It's so good.
Weird.
It's so silly. It's so nuts.
I have nothing else to say about the rest of that game.
Fair.
Did you play the DLC? There's one where you like finish off Jack, because Jack gets away, or the son gets away, doesn't he?
Yeah, Lucas gets away.
Lucas gets away,
Yeah,
and
you
then
get like a note from him or something.
Yeah.
he's like, see you in the DLC, buddy. I'm in a different
So
house.
I have the DLC now because I hadn't had it before, so I'm going to get into that next time I'm playing.
I'll be super curious
But
to hear how you get on with
I'm
that.
excited because I love his puzzle room. I thought that was one of my favorite parts of the main game, was getting through that puzzle, because what you do with that puzzle room is you get a VHS tape and you play it as another character, and through playing that you're like, okay, I know what to do not to die from
Yeah,
this
that was
puzzle.
cool.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
So I think the video VHS like kind of mechanic they have in it to kind of play through past segments is really clever, and it really kind of ties in that Blair Witch kind of home movie feel to it as well. Just a fun time. You can get that game on sale so cheap. If you just want like shooty bang horror, go for it.
Yeah, and like even just for the opening couple of hours, it's worth whatever price admission, because I did genuinely love that.
I love that dinner scene so much, and I love how Grandma in the wheelchair will like follows you everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Grandma was so good.
She's so happy to see you.
As well, I think Resident Evil and Capcom are doing the best environmental design in games. Like, really, every place is so specifically prop heavy. Like, everything is its own place and its own stuff in it, and it's just really impressive how much detail they put into things.
Sounds cool. I played a bit more Last of Us 2.
How you feeling?
I think probably now, like, I played like maybe 3 or 4 hours more. Probably a little more positive than I came out of first time. And the reason, I think there's 2 main reasons. The first was I had 2 boss battles that I really, really enjoyed. I don't know if either of them were the one you were talking about.
Okay.
But there was an angry man with a hammer.
Is that as Ellie you're fighting?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a pretty good boss fight.
I like that a lot. And then you fight a boomer, which is one of the enemies from the first game. And I can remember a boss fight. Are they called boomers? The big fat things.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can remember a boss fight with one of them from Last of Us 1, and I just thought it was really just tiresome, and I didn't enjoy it at all. And I love this one. It's taking place in like an old hotel or something, and it's like chasing you through the hotel and like smashing through walls and everything, and it felt so good. Like it was really tense and fun, and I like that about it a lot. Also, the cult has come into it.
The Seraphites.
Yeah, and I like that. I like you're kind of creeping through an environment and you just hear like, and you're like, and I think they're fun to fight. I feel exactly the same about most of the. Okay, super petty little squabble. You know the superhero trading cards?
Yeah.
They fucking suck.
They do, don't
They're
they?
so shit. Like,
Yeah.
and I get that they're meant to be kind of corny, but you could do something like fun with them.
Being the only collectible really in the game that isn't like lore related.
Yeah, and then you get Neil Druckmann's one.
Yeah, I know.
He is
What?
embarrassing, that
Yeah.
guy.
He has his own little collectible card in game.
What a narcissist.
It's the
Pushes
mad professor that pushes people limit to their limit, which is a bit rich coming from the studio with all these crunch allegations.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I'm probably going to finish this game.
Good, because you did say that you wanted to try and finish more games.
Yeah, I did say that.
That is your New Year's resolution that you made.
I've been doing good. I've beat a bunch of games this
Gotta beat
year.
a game.
Just like from a bit of distance from The Last of Us 2, I keep thinking about a lot of those boss fights, and I've gone back and I played a lot of those encounters again. I really enjoy the gameplay, and I think some of those boss fights are just some of genuinely the best in action adventure.
Yeah, like
That's
even
good, 'cause,
the two
yeah.
I've played, like there's a kind of attention to them, and like I feel like, how do I put this? You have a lot of control over what you do and a lot of different options, you know? Like, it was so satisfying when this guy with the hammer was coming at me and I just fucked a brick at his face. You know, because that's something I would do if someone with a hammer was coming at me. And, like, I felt very in control of them, but, like, saying that, or I had a lot of control in the situation, but what I was facing was so overwhelmingly dangerous that there was this great tension to it, you know? So, yeah, fantastic boss fights. I'll probably play it just to play more of them.
Yeah, because usually in those kind of games, well, I know in Uncharted the boss fights are awful.
The combat just isn't great.
It's not good. Like, I remember in Uncharted 4, the last boss battle is a sword fight on a pirate ship.
Yes, yeah.
And it's the worst fucking thing ever.
Uncharted's so stupid.
The second last boss fight in The Last of Us 2 in the theater is, I think, just fucking cool. Like, that is a really cool boss fight and an interesting flip. I look forward to you getting to Abby's stuff, because I think that's really where the game is the strongest.
Yeah.
My opinion has gotten more favorable as I've had distance from it, but if I was to ever replay it, I would skip all the cutscenes.
Okay, I'm going to put a controversial statement out there.
Go on.
Last of Us 2. Not a bad game.
No.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
My favorite way to murder people. Like in video games. Right now.
I'm glad you clarified that bit at the end. Thanks, John.
No problem, Brian. See you soon, buddy.
See you soon, too.
Brian.
Yes.
We've both been playing Paper Mario and the Origami Killer.
The Origami King.
It's David Cage's Paper Mario.
It really is not.
Ethan you play as Ethan.
You play as Paper Mario. I like this game a whole bunch, and that's coming from someone who does not like the recent Paper Mario games one bit at all.
Even coming up to this game, like you were cynical. I felt like, you were not excited about this.
No, because like 2 months ago we didn't know this game existed, and Niamh was in our chat going like, "Look at this, Bryan," and I was like, "Well, why? Why now? Why like this?" Because like you know how they announce a video game is they show a fucking title card and then they go, "That's all we got."
Yeah.
Like fucking Metroid Prime 4, which was shown like a very long time ago, and it will not be coming out anytime soon. And this is just like the game was like pretty much gone gold, and they showed the trailer for it. Like, by the way, here's the new Paper Mario game. That should be how all games should be announced, because people can keep their expectations in check.
Then how would Hideo Kojima mess with your head, man?
He doesn't need to make games anymore. Don't.
Well, when Death Stranding 2 is 2021's Game of the Year, we'll fucking see.
God.
I'm about 5 to 10 hours into this game. I don't know how long I'm in. I'm just checking the Switch system settings, and that says under 10, but more than 5 hours. I'm really, really enjoying this game, and I found the first hour incredibly tedious because it holds your hand.
Yeah.
The entire, and it's like you've never played a game before.
I don't think I took any damage in this game for maybe the first 2 to 3 hours.
Yes, but then 2 to 3 hours in, I died.
I haven't died yet, but I am the pro gamer of this podcast.
You are Pro John, we call him.
So enjoying the game, Bryan.
No, I really like. I think this game looks amazing. Holy shit, this is the best. Like, cause like to me, the Paper Mario games have always looked amazing. The writing's always been very fun, and like it's always had good dialogue. But this has the gameplay as well. I love the battle system where you have that grid, and you can either rotate them as a concentric circle, or you scroll it like a treadmill to line up all your enemies and combo them that way. And I think it's completely possible to beat that game without doing any damage to Mario if you solve each puzzle in the battle correctly and you line it up.
Nail all your timing.
And nail all your timing. You can beat that game. And so the game is easy to play but kind of hard to master that way.
Yeah, definitely when they introduced that system at first, I was like, this is way too simple. But then when they started getting weird with it, I'm like, I need more time.
It gets really, really complicated later on, and there's boss battles and stuff where it lays it out like a board game, and Mario can only go in like a certain direction.
I just had my first one of them. Yeah,
they get real messy later on. They're fantastic. But I like, to me, when I'm playing it, I'm not bored, or like I'm not on autopilot playing those turn-based battles, which usually happens with RPGs. Like I sit out of my seat sometimes and I give it 100%. Like I have to give it my full attention.
Yeah, it is beautiful. Like, you're right about that, and like I love a lot of the cutscenes have like a real sense of like cinematography to them. Like some of the action cutscenes are amazing.
The one where they rescue the gang in the clown copter, and Bowser's clown copter, was so good.
Oh, so good. There's also
and Luigi got fucked up.
The game's like kind of like weird and dark around the edges.
It's very mature, John. I got to this one story beat, and I don't think they've ever done this in the Mushroom Kingdom. Like, it got really upsetting, and like kind of like a character made a decision on behalf of others, and it wasn't like, people aren't happy about it.
Interesting.
Was it Mario?
Mario tips his hat in sadness.
It's like it's kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Niamh, where like this origami prince king has like come in, and basically he takes people and he folds them up into like origami versions of themselves, and they get really fucked up and evil.
But then they're like brainwashed, and they're like, join us, it's great this way.
Yeah, they're like, this is the way to be. And like, there's a really messed up bit. Do you know the scene in Pinocchio where you see in silhouette the little boy turning into the donkey?
Yeah.
That happens in origami version. And it's really kind of horrific.
Yeah. So the villain, the Origami King, I think his name is Ollie, and then his twin sister is Olivia, who's your like annoying tutorial friend at the beginning, but she gets a lot better later on.
Yeah, she doesn't. I don't hate her.
She gets way better later on.
Cool.
And you do get a few partners later on as well, but they're AI controlled. The first one you get is a Bob-omb who has amnesia, and they keep going, well, do you want to call you Bobby or Bomus? And he's like, no, just call me Bob-omb.
Okay, and are the partners fun? Because like the partners in Thousand Year Door were like my favorite part of it.
This Bob-omb, at the very end of his storyline, I preferred this Bob-omb to the Bob-omb in Thousand Year Door.
Cool.
But the thing is, and I read this because this game is developed by Intelligent Systems, who are a second-party developer for Nintendo. They make the Fire Emblem games and a few others. And actually, their office is like 2 blocks south of Nintendo headquarters in Kyoto. So like they are like, to me, they're essentially like a Nintendo studio in that regard. But they were kind of talking about original character designs and original kind of like names for just original characters in general, and it seems like they're incredibly limited by Nintendo themselves to what they can create or what they can add. Like, they can do new villains, but if they're to do new protagonists, they have to be based on pre-existing characters or only be tweaked slightly.
That's fucking stupid.
So the Bob-omb partner in this doesn't have like a beard or sunglasses or anything.
He's just a Bob-omb.
He's a Bob-omb, but he's missing his fuse, so he can't explode. He can only
shite.
Yeah, but at the end of it, I love that fucking Bob-omb so much.
Okay, cool.
He's a cool guy. But it's got loads of toads, and they're all copy paste toads. But it's not always the same color palette toad. There's different color palettes.
I like hitting the toads with a hammer, especially to like straighten them out.
Oh yeah, and I do think there's a lot of like side quests and extras, and the way it has like a built-in achievement system for each area, and you can clear it 100%. That's really, really satisfying.
I'm enjoying it. I would say I'm probably not enjoying it as much as you. I kind of have my issues with it, and maybe these will get better. But like, part of it is like there's a mechanic in it where you throw confetti, and so you find all these like holes in the landscape, and it looks like a float that's had like a hole torn in it. You can see the wiring underneath, and so you go up to it and you hit or B and you throw confetti. And the first couple of times I thought that was cute, but I'm after doing it like maybe 4 or 5 dozen times, I'm kind of sick of it now.
You're going to do that for the entire game.
Awesome. I not that into the battle system. Like, it's fine, but like it's really more of a puzzle game than anything else.
Yeah, I think that's why I like it.
Yeah, like the main focus of the battle system is like rotating and sliding the enemies into place. That's the primary focus. It's not like about attacking or defending or being strategic or anything like that.
Is it timed?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can pay to have more time put on the clock.
Oh yeah, I've never used that.
And it's weird as well, because like 3 hours into the game I had like 10,000 coins.
Yeah, so like the battles don't give you XP, they give you coins, but there's going to be items later on in the game and they cost so much fucking money.
I don't love that there's no XP system, there's no leveling up as well, because I really feel very little like incentive to compete in the battles. Like, I'll just try and sneak past enemies if I want, because the battle system isn't like really doing it for me. And like, I'm hoping that it adds more than there is right now. Because like right now, Mario has 2 attacks.
He gets more. Well, like it gets more into like a juggle, and your attacks aren't going to do damage, like complete 100% damage on the first turn. So if you want to do like a clean run where you don't receive any damage and you get like the max output, that gets way trickier. Yeah, so that's kind of the game. But like,
and like they do introduce cool stuff. Like I like when like where I am, they recently introduced Koopa Troopas, and so if a Koopa Troopa is in its shell and you jump on it, it will slide and hit the rest of its row, and that's really cool. Like it's a really fun way to tackle it. I don't like the boss battles.
No, I love them.
No.
Are they different?
They're like a board game, and it's like top down, and I guess it's kind of like that game Frustration, or a bit like Monopoly, but you can like
it's like turn-based Choo Choo Rocket. And what bothers me about it is, like, I like boss battles because I like the idea of, like, really testing the mechanics you've experimented with up until this point. And I don't like this boss battle system because, like, it's a completely different style of battle. Like, there's some things that are kind of the same, like the rotating and the sliding is the same, but now you're trying to, like...
It's changed the camera angle completely.
Yeah, you're trying to walk Mario to the boss. Like, the boss is in the center, as I put before, Mario is in the center. And... it just doesn't really do it for me. Like, I don't think they're that exciting, but like the presentation around the bosses is really cool. And like when you expose their weakness, you get a big massive cutscene of like Mario like unfolding himself and doing all this mad shit, and like that stuff's really cool. I think like the presentation and the story of this game I'm into. I like the writing, I like the characters, I think it's all pretty fun. The battle side of things and the general gameplay, not so much.
No. I never played Color Splash because I saw enough of it, and I saw YouTube reviews and I knew what that was. I played a fair amount of Sticker Star and I really, really don't like that game. It's definitely an improvement over those two, but like it's nowhere near as satisfying to play as like something like Thousand Year Door.
This is what I wanted to ask you, because you played Thousand Year Door like in the last year.
Yeah, no, like that.
How is that comparison?
So it doesn't compare. Like Thousand Year Door is like infinitely better.
It's a fucking amazing game.
Yeah.
God, what I wouldn't do for like a remaster of that.
Yeah. But this is definitely like the second best Paper Mario game I've played, which is great.
That's good.
Like, I played the original N64 game a couple times, but like that's not that fun to play either.
No.
Like it's fine. It's just a bit dulled down.
Yeah. And like I like it. Like, and I'm the same as you. Like when I'm playing it, I'm never bored. I'm never zoned out. It's like I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
It's just there's parts of it that like I'm kind of like whatever. But yeah. Oh boy. Okay. Deadly Premonition 2.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's out finally after
It's
what?
Finally here.
10 years?
10
Is
years
it 10?
later.
Yeah.
Wow. Really?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah, it came out like
because I
2010 or
remember-
2011.
Yeah. Because we were in our final stages of college or finished.
It came out around the same time as Alan Wake. I think it came out like a few months after Alan Wake, and Alan Wake came out 10 years ago.
I think I remember telling you about it in the canteen of college after Christmas.
Yeah, and that it was not Twin Peaks.
No. Oh. Yeah, no, it's not Twin Peaks. He's never seen Twin Peaks.
I found my 360 copy and the price was still on it, and this like the seal that you broke, and I was like, oh, I bought this new.
Oh my
like
God.
what a gamble.
Niamh, how are you getting on with Deadly Premonition 2?
I stopped playing it to wait for some patches because
Why?
because it looks bad.
Oh my god.
Like
What the fuck?
like so much worse than the first one ever looked.
Oh, infinitely worse.
The first one has
time
a
you go
charm.
outside and you see the frame rate.
Oh my god. And like it's not cute. Like a lot of people were like, and even I, when I first heard about the frame rate, I was just like, well, it's Deadly Premonition. It's a bit shitty. This is super shitty. Like this is unplayable.
Deadly
shitty.
Premonition was a bit shitty. Yes, you are. This is so different to that.
You can play Deadly Premonition. I never remember getting a crash. Like in the original, maybe it did happen, but in this, like I feel like I played 5 hours and crashed twice.
Oh really?
Yeah, and it was just
Are we talking hard crashes?
hard crashes.
Wow.
Like had to turn off my Switch.
Oh dear.
Like one of them, York just got stuck on a skateboard and just kind of was like rotating.
Okay, so I had kind of an amazing glitch. I talked to a character, and the next thing they were 10 feet up in the air, and York was talking to them. But then the game respawned me out of bounds. I respawned at the edge of the town, and I couldn't go back into the town because the invisible wall that keeps you in the town also keeps you out of the town.
Okay.
So all I could do was follow this one highway, and it's the highway that leads you into town at the start of the game that they like shoot the opening cutscene on. And so I skateboarded down that highway completely alone, and eventually it took me to the edge of the ocean. but there was no collision detection, so I skated out onto the ocean at midnight.
That's kind of beautiful.
Just Truman showed right the fuck out of there.
The most deadly premonition thing possible. I was just rotating the camera around York on a completely vast, endless ocean, the moon in the sky. It was incredible. And the frame rate was real good because it was only rendering York and the sea. Anyway, this game is very glitchy. And you know what kind of pisses me off? Like, honestly, the low frame rate, part of me can be like, okay. But like when you're on your skateboard and York's halfway through a conversation, if you collide with something, the conversation cuts off. So he was talking to this character called Patricia, and she has a nickname like CJ or something like that. And York was like, "Why do they call you CJ?" And then like I hit a tree, and the conversation stopped, and that conversation never came up again. And I don't know why she's called that now. Do you know, Niamh?
I can't remember it now.
God damn it. Yeah, this game is, it's probably like technically the worst performing console game I have ever played, like, so by far.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
And so this game's going to be patched for a multiple of reasons.
I think a patch literally came out just today. As we started this.
Okay.
They've said they've made like roads towards getting the frame rate fixed, but this isn't the patch that's fixing it. They're just doing stuff behind the scenes to get ready for that fix.
Honestly, like it's the kind of quality of life stuff I'd like, because like I'm getting the same conversations again and again and again. Like I'm not that far into this game. I'm maybe like 5 or 6 hours, and I have heard the saying, "What do you think of this Hoonigan character?" Like over and over and over.
I'm pretty disappointed, gotta say. Like, I'm gonna go back to it. I just wanted to take a break because going into it after The Last of Us and then it just being so broken, I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna give it a while, see if it gets patched, and then get back into it. But even from the like opening cutscene, I wasn't very enamored with it, I gotta say. Like, it had like its like fun Deadly Premonition jank and its silliness, but there is even something like the text doesn't auto like complete, like, you know what I mean, you have to press X after each sentence, so it's very stunted, like it just feels really weird and non-flowing as a conversation, which again, part of me is like, Deadly Premonition, it is kind of stunted and weird, but some of this is just working against itself.
Yeah, like I'm okay with the jank up until the point that like it starts actively detracting from like the experience, you know. Like I'll take the ocean skateboard. That was honestly kind of a religious experience. That was amazing. But like, you're right, like there is, and like even there's some animation in that opening cutscene that's so terrible. Did you see the bit where the guy falls against the table?
Yes.
Oh my god, it's nearly like just a character rotating on its like x-axis. I gotta say though, kind of loving this game. Yeah, and it's all the dialogue, it's all the cutscenes, it's all the characters. I am so fucking enamored. Like, I love it. I could see myself getting pissed off with this game. Like, the story is going to have to stay as strong and charming for me as it's been so far. But like, I love all the characters. I've met so many characters I am so into, and they're so weird and they're so strange. I love Patricia. I think she's really funny. I think the way she like just shits, she's like this 12-year-old girl who just shits on York constantly. I love the guy who runs the hotel.
Yeah.
And it's like, you meet this guy and he's like a chef and you're talking to him, and then later on you meet your concierge at the hotel and he looks exactly the same, and York's like, that was not a twin, that was the same person. And then you meet the bellboy and it's also the same person.
Oh dear.
And they all refuse to like, they don't even give the slightest hint that they're the same person. And when you ask them, they're like, oh yeah, we know those guys, but like, we don't hang out or anything, we're kind of just work associates. And then you find out that the owner of the hotel is also the same person, but you're never going to meet him, and he's not a very nice person apparently.
That's a great way to deal with Reeves. That's brilliant.
Yeah, and I just, it's so weird. And like, I love Patricia's dad. The sheriff of the town is this really excited cop, and he's like so excited to be like working with York, and he keeps like doing this like movie trailer voice being like Agent York Morgan, and I'm having a great, and like even just the town Lucara, it's like this it looks like a fucking, honestly, like a Windows 95 screensaver a lot of the time. Like it's an empty shitty world, but it's like
corridors.
Yeah, but like what, it's also like a place heavily inspired by like Louisiana and stuff, and like I don't remember the last time I met, you know, 5 black characters one after the other that were all like well written and distinct and interesting. And it's really cool to explore a setting like this and like to explore a culture like this, and it feels really fresh and just exciting to be in, and I like that a lot. This game has so many fucking problems. Like I made a tweet about it being 3 out of 10 in Game of the Year, and like I really mean that. Like it's a 3 out of 10 game. My patience for technical bullshit is very high. Like I will withstand a lot of that if I like what's going on, and I really like what's going on here. I could totally see it being the kind of thing where if, you know, I fall off on it eventually, maybe, but I'm having such a good time with it. How far are you, Niamh?
I'm not that far in. I'm only like maybe 3 hours or something.
What was the last thing that happened?
I'm skating around. I skated over a squirrel.
The squirrels will get you.
So I was about, I'd say maybe 3 or 4 hours into the game before I ever needed to like fire my gun at an enemy.
That's pretty good. I'm really excited about what you're saying, and like, because I do like the characters as well, and that sweary vibe is what I come for. I was just like, if a patch is coming, I'm gonna wait.
After that opening cutscene, I was like, I don't know about this. Like I was like, I knew this was meant to be rough, but this is fucking insane. But honestly, like the game's charm just it won me over big time.
Cool.
And like I still have a long way to go in this game, but the dialogue is just consistently top notch. Like it makes me laugh, and York is so much more like emphatic about films now, and it's so fucking hilarious sometimes. Like he has this spiel, you've probably seen it because like it's at the start of the game, where he's like, Bryan, who directed Clockwork Orange?
Stanley Kubrick.
I might be confused. Did Stanley Kubrick... I might have this wrong, because he starts talking about how the movie Cat's People is better than Clockwork Orange.
The movie what?
Cat People.
Cat People?
Yeah.
What?
I don't know, maybe he's talking about a writer, cinematographer instead, not the director, but he's like, Clockwork Orange is not their best movie, Cat People is. And it's so weird, and he gives such an impassioned reason to why he thinks this. And
I think maybe he's like a fake film buff.
Well, no, I don't. Well, you see, the thing is, you find a poster for E.T. at one point, and he's like, "I've never heard of this movie."
Definitely, like I'm sure everyone's seen that fucking film
about Michael Bay and the island.
Oh, I hate that film.
And he's like, the island is a seminal piece of cinematic storytelling.
That film sucks.
And this film's taking place in 2005, or this game's taking place in 2005, and he's like, just like Star Wars, the island is destined to spawn an entire new genre of filmmaking.
Oh my god.
Wow, York.
It's the wackiest shit in the world, and I love it so much.
Bryan, what's better, Shutter Island or The Island?
God, I don't like either of those movies.
You have to pick one to watch forever.
I'll take my chances on The Island.
Honestly, yeah, it's directed by Michael Bay. The other one's directed by the dude with the eyebrows, Martin Scorsese. Yeah, I'm gonna watch a Michael Bay movie over a Martin Scorsese movie.
Scorsese directed Shutter Island?
Yeah.
He got soft.
Yeah, that film is so fucking dull. At least The Island has like color grading.
I thought The Island was great when I watched it. I was like, this is great.
I was getting The Island and
Ewan McGregor.
I was getting The Island
it's got Ewan McGregor
mixed up.
Yeah.
The Beach is a really weird movie. It's got a bunch of Banjo-Kazooie references in it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because it was made like 20 years ago. So there's a bit where it goes into video game mode, but it's like N64 video game mode, and it has like a bunch of like waypoints and collect 'em ups, and it looks like a Banjo-Kazooie game, but it's Leonardo DiCaprio.
What the fuck?
I remember the like CG moment of him jumping off the cliff, and it was shown on everything, and we're like, whoa, it looks like he's really jumping. And I remember being like, nope, it doesn't.
The Beach is directed by Danny Boyle. I'd rather watch a Danny Boyle movie than a Martin Scorsese or Michael Bay movie.
Yeah, fair.
Sure. But yeah, it's just the writing and the characters. I'm kind of just in love with this weird little community at the moment, and I'm having a really great time. And it's weird because, like, just two games I can't stop comparing this to, and one of them is The Last of Us. Last of Us Part 2. And, like, what I would say about Deadly Premonition is it feels like humans put hands on Deadly Premonition and their thumbprints are still so fucking apparent. It was not some, like, highly advanced, focus tested AI group that made this game. And, you know, one of my problems with The Last of Us 2, and I look like this is kind of stupid criticism, it doesn't feel like people made it to me. It feels like it's a lot of design by committee. It's a lot of focus testing. It's like a lot of writing and then rewriting by a different person, rewritten by a different person.
An overindulgent design in the sense that, like, things you'll never see, like pupils dilating, but like their pupils, they dilate.
Yeah, and I think sometimes with that stuff, what you lose to me is a kind of earnestness. Like, I like my art to feel like it's made by people. There's to a certain point, I don't want those, like, creases covered up. Now, obviously, Deadly Premonition 2 has a lot of creases it needs covered up, but at the same time, there's such a heart to it that I'm so enamored with.
This game is sincere.
It is the most sincere game we will play this year, I'm sure.
Well, Swery has another game coming out this year.
Oh yeah, Good Life.
Never mind.
But hopefully that has a doesn't need a patch.
That looks more polished.
Yeah.
Like I've seen the updates. The frame rate looks okay.
Okay.
The other game I can't help compare it to is Shenmue 3.
Tree.
Yep.
Because it's a director passion project.
It's a director passion
and a
project.
walkabout of town.
Because and like I'm about to say like a lot of shit about Shenmue 3. I also would never accuse that game of not being sincere, but it's also so characterless. You know, like there's no characters in Shenmue 3. It's like everyone is just this sentient signpost, and seeing how beautiful the fucking characters of Deadly Premonition 2 are, where I just want to squeeze every chunk of dialogue out of them, it makes all the difference, you know? And there's a lot of shit about Deadly Premonition 2 that pisses me off, you know, a lot of the technical stuff. There is just a general lack of polish. Like, I think Deadly Premonition is the kind of story that would benefit a lot from indulging the small moments. Like, you smoke cigarettes to pass the time. I'd love a little cutscene of York just taking out a cigarette and smoking it. You don't get that. You don't get, like, him, you know, drinking a cup of coffee or buying food. Like, there's all cutscenes where he does all these things, but little in-game moments like that I think would really add a lot, giving, like, how idiosyncratic a character he is. Haven't seen any of the transphobic stuff yet. We'll get to that in the news section. I think we got that on our docket.
We can talk about it here.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So apparently, from what I understand, that keep in mind I haven't got this far, but there's basically a part where York like dead names a character, and I think it's the worst kind of dead naming where it's a kind of got you moment.
Yeah, it's a gotcha.
Which,
like, I'm not going to the bat for that at all. Like, that just fucking sucks, and it's really disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
There's been interesting updates about it where Swery's come out and apologized, and I thought it was a decent apology. It's not my apology to accept, but
yeah, it seems sincere. Like, he said it wasn't his intent to upset, and like, don't hate the characters, hate him because he wrote it, kind of thing, and that he wanted to change it because it didn't match up with his intent. So it felt like, just in a world where a lot of people cannot take criticism and actively work against it and rail against it, it was nice to see someone take criticism and try and do well.
Yeah,
do well.
And like,
by
I
it.
guess the proof is going to be like, well, post patch, like, what is this?
Seemingly, it's not great.
Yeah.
So Laura Kate Dale, who is a trans woman who's been kind of talking about this, kind of dug into the patch. And I think when it comes to anything like this, and this is like what happened with Persona 5 Royale as well, where they kind of removed the kind of the homophobic stuff like that, it doesn't really work because you're the character's there, the scenes are there, you're cutting out dialogue, you're putting in blanks where stuff was. Like, the intention of the moment hasn't changed, just things that are said. The words have changed.
Yeah.
So now it's York doesn't dead name her, but she dead names herself a moment afterwards. So it's like they just cut out a line of dialogue.
And it's interesting because, like, he released J.J. McAfeefield in the Island
J.J.
of the Mist.
Macfield, yeah.
Yeah. And the difference between that one and this one is that there was like trans consultants on that one.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty celebrated as being some pretty solid representation as far as I know.
Yeah.
And it wasn't in this one. So, like, I appreciate that it's misguided and I appreciate him apologizing for it. It sucks that it's in it at all. And, like, it should never have been. And it's tricky because, like, there's an earnestness to him. And, like,
Yeah.
I do believe I do believe gender is just something he really seems to want to explore. But I think you have to keep in mind that you're getting into difficult territory if you don't have any lived experience like that.
And, like, at this stage, like, it seems like an obsession. Like, this is 3 games with a trans character. And, like, I'm not saying that he shouldn't be including these characters, like, at all. But when, like, a non-trans or, like, a cis man is, like, consistently writing about them and kind of getting feedback here but not here and, like, making them villains a lot of the time, it's like, just don't. Just
if you're
stop
gonna
it.
do this again, like, think about it carefully
Yeah.
and talk to some trans people.
Exactly.
And, like, a trans friend of mine is very, very into Deadly Premonition. And, like, I asked them about it, and they didn't really. Their attitude was more kind of like, yeah, seems misguided, but, like, everyone's gonna come away with their own feelings on that as well.
Well, here's the thing with this, like, obviously trans people aren't a monolith, and, like, representation is, like, few and far between. So, like, you take it, and also you're just used to seeing this shit, so you're just like, yeah, same old, you know, I'm gonna enjoy it around this annoying thing, which is how I watch most anime. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I can see that happening as well. So it's like, I don't know, it's a bigger conversation, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. That's Deadly Premonition 2. I'm having a great time with it. I think transphobic stuff's really dumb and unfortunate. And I'll probably have more about to say when I actually play it myself. But anyway, Quicktime Events. You know what? I'm going to learn from previous weeks, and we're going to hold off on this first one till the end.
Yes, let's do that.
Devolver Digital Direct.
So every company is doing their kind of E3 what they would have done moment, their digital events, and Devolver Digital is no different. They had a Devolver Digital Direct kind of pre-recorded video, but a lot of it looked like it was shot in quarantine. There was a lot of one person with a camera kind of stuff.
Right.
A lot of empty spaces.
Yeah. And a lot of maybe green screening. Who knows? Who knows how they did it? But they did it and it worked. And it was really enjoyable. They debuted a few games that I didn't write down.
That's what a boss. Your source for news.
See, for me with Devolver, it's like you see a game and then you're like, oh, they're publishing it. Cool.
Yeah.
And so I'm never like, I never know about their lineup, but it's always after the fact that I see an unusual game that grabs my attention and then I see their name and I'm like, that's why.
Yeah.
None of it really stood out to me, but what did stand out to me was their whole kind of gimmick at the end of this was that you could play a digital expo. So they released a game on Steam that was basically a con where you could go into like a first-person shooter con where you could go into different booths and watch the trailers within the booths. So they're like, it's the next step of marketing where the trailers are a game.
Fair play to them for like actually constantly one-upping their presentations.
Yeah, like they
That's
did
cool.
it. It was really funny, and they've been doing a continued narrative for the last
they have.
3 years, and they made good of it. Even like in like this COVID situation, they really made good on everything. I was really rooting for Madge and Nina Struthers to get together, and they kind of did. So This is me waving a very small rainbow flag.
What's kinda?
She kisses her on the cheek and gives her a hug.
Yeah, okay.
There we go.
I take
Fine,
that.
let her have this.
Let me have it.
No, I thought they glanced at each other. That's
Classic Bryan, the ship sinker.
No,
It was more than that. Like,
it was contact with a mouth.
yeah, Madge was trying to save Nina, and she did save Nina, and then she gave her a kiss on the cheek, and they gave each other a big hug. And I was just like, that's all Niamh needs. They'll feed me for 10 fucking years.
Now on to fanfiction.net.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh.
But it was a I love Devolver Digital showcases just for how fun and silly they are, and they did another great one, and fair play for doing it in the situation that they did it in.
What's that monster game?
Oh, the one with the the big growth kind of monster
That
that
looks
person
fun.
Carrion.
Yeah. That looks really fun. Nintendo Direct Mini.
Yes. This was announced and they said it was going to be a small time direct with publishing partners, nothing first party, and please keep your expectations, appropriate.
And
Appreciate
did
it.
people?
Oh, and the little shits were like, where's Mario Kart?
But they're
9?
gonna do it now. They're gonna
They were like, they're gonna release all the Pokemon for the new Pokemon. No,
fuck off. God damn.
I thought this was really good. There was a bunch of Bryan games in this, so I was like, yeah, all right, here we go.
Bryan, why don't you bring us to your favorite Bryan games?
Well, I guess that would be Cadence of Hyrule. What a fantastic Zelda game that is better than most Zelda games. I love Cadence of Hyrule. They've announced 3 DLC packs for it, including an original story where you play as Skull Kid.
Oh, sick.
And he changes masks and he gets different abilities.
Nice.
And they're going to release the DLC in a series of waves between now and October, and then it gets a physical edition with it all collected. So I don't know, do I buy the DLC season or do I buy it physically, because I really like that game and
You do really like that game. You should buy it physically.
Yeah, I might do that.
Treat yourself, Bryan.
Yeah, because that game came out a year ago. I'm glad they're still doing stuff with it. I really like a year later DLC, stuff like that. I think that's always a nice idea.
I agree. I like it when I was like, oh yeah, I was into that game.
Yeah, and it just breathes life back into it 1 year later. Always fun. Atlas really got a shout out in this. They're re-releasing Shin Megami Tensei 3, and then they spoke more about Shin Megami Tensei 5, and they've not said shit about that game for like 3 years.
When's 3 coming out, the remaster?
I think it's out at the end of the year, or else at the beginning of 2021.
Have you
Yeah.
ever touched those games?
No.
No, I've never touched them, but I've always enjoyed Persona.
I've played the 4th one because that was a 3DS exclusive.
Wasn't he good?
Just
I
say it.
know that Shin Megami
No.
Tensei fans love it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they did.
Yeah.
I'm a Persona fan. I don't think I'm a Shin Megami Tensei fan.
I think the aesthetic is super strong. Like I have
Yeah.
I have a scale figure of Shin Megami Tensei, just like of the guy in the uniform with the knives.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got like a row of knives
Yeah.
on a belt around his
Because he looks
chest.
so fucking cool
Yeah,
that
he
I was
does.
just like, I don't need context for this. So I'm interested.
Those are the best figures.
Yeah, where it's just like, I don't care, but it looks great. I'm interested to play it, but I don't know, is 3 a popular one among fans? Is this like the one
I think
to
it's
play?
4. I always hear you should play 4.
4 definitely is.
Was that just due to accessibility at the
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
though?
it was. 'Cause,
Comment
yeah, 'cause
section, help us out.
Should we play this remaster? Is it worth people's time?
Should we play Shin
It
Megami
looks nice
Tensei
for a
3?
remaster. They really did a lot of work on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
From the little comparisons they did.
Yeah, they did. Because I think it's originally a PlayStation 2, early PS3 game. Because you can get it on the PS3 store as a digital.
Cool. And then 5 is coming out next year, and I'm sure at least one of us will take a look at that. Like, I've always been curious.
It definitely looked like an Atlas game. It had a guy navigating a train station with a bustling crowd. That is the most
That's
Atlas thing.
Atlas as fuck.
Yeah, and the guy was well groomed and in a school uniform, as any Atlas character looks.
Nice. Blasphemous DLC.
So this is free DLC that's
What?
coming. Yeah, it's free for anyone who owns the game on PS4 and Switch.
Okay.
That's cool.
I so badly want to like Blasphemous. Like, I will play this because for all the ways I think that game kind of sucks, it's so distinct and its own thing, you know? and I really want to like it. Like, I want to come away from this DLC being like, they learned, like, this is fucking great, and now Blasphemous can really be something, and then Blasphemous 2 can be amazing, and we'll all have a great time with it. It's hard because, like, there's, like, again, if people remember my rants on Blasphemous, it's the game design. Like, it's art direction, it's music, 10 out of 10. It's game design, not good. Like, just really not a lot of thought went into how that game is put together and how those levels roll into each other, and just enemy placement and stuff. I really hope this is good, and it looks cool. Of course it looks cool. Blasphemous, but we'll see. You never finished that game, Niamh?
No, I didn't.
No,
I didn't particularly like playing it.
I would look up a boss compilation on YouTube. Some pretty fucking strong imagery in there.
Yeah, like, I really want to be able to play this and enjoy it because the aesthetic is so good, and I love all the fan works that's come out of it. There's just some beautiful illustration and drawing that people have done based on this game because it looks cool as hell.
The animation of the giant baby tearing off your arms is still one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen. Oh no,
we're not done yet.
We're not done yet.
Yeah.
So we were originally going to talk about Ubisoft's announcements, but we don't really feel like that's too appropriate at the moment because Ubisoft has been protecting sexual predators.
Yeah, who
for
fucking cares,
years
Ubisoft?
and years and years and years. And you know, this is a big part of the speaking out movement. Me too. And this is our third week in a row talking about this stuff. It's hard not to get jaded, but it's also super important to talk about. And this is... I don't know what this fucking is. This is just evil. Just awful people protecting awful people for years. And, like... I don't want to say too much about it because it's not my place to say, but, like... We know someone who was involved in a kind of situation like this with Ubisoft, and hearing how they were treated was horrific. Like, just the way it was like attempted to be like swept under the rug was like, it was, they were so let down by this company, and like legitimate predators just protected just because they can, I don't know, fucking raise the bottom line a little bit. And I think top to bottom the entire management structure of that company should be extremely ashamed of themselves. And when I hear fucking, what's the guy's name, the guy in charge, Yves Guillemot, he's like he's like the one in charge of like fixing all this shit up. There hasn't anything come out about him, but I can't imagine he's the head of this company and he knew nothing about it.
Yeah, he's claiming ignorance, but literally his best friend that he hired at the very start is one of these guys who's been named. Jason Schreier's article came out today as of us recording it, and I was reading it, but this like man was known as the gatekeeper and just complete boys club.
So either you knew about it, which is fucking terrible, or you're so fucking dumb that you couldn't spot this in your own company, in which case you are absolutely not suited to take care of this. Either way. And like, I think he should step down.
Yep.
Like, just inarguably, I think he should step down. But yeah, and just, you know, respect and love to all the victims who have come out like this. It's super hard, and it's very brave that people do. It's important people do, and it's important people talk about it, which is why we're going to keep talking about it as long as it keeps happening. Just before we end on it as well, I just want to shout out Jim Sterling's video on it that he released, and we'll put these in our show notes, and a Jason Schreier's article. Like, I think it takes a lot, sadly, as like journalists in video games to really call out this stuff and mention this stuff. A lot of the time, Ubisoft did do their little online E3 kind of Ubisoft forward stuff, and it was like, you can see them trying to harness hype culture to kind of bury this shit as fast as possible. And while all this was coming out, they had an opportunity to use their way forward moment to comment on it, but they put up a statement that didn't use the hashtag, saying we won't be commenting on this because it was all pre-recorded. It's just fuck off. Yeah, it's just scummy shit. They just didn't want the people who don't know about it to know about it. So I just like, kudos to people like Jim Sterling and Jason Schreier, who is making it their work and their message to get this shit out there.
Corporate bullies.
Complete nightmare. And like boys club, like you said.
Yeah.
Anyway, emails.
We have an email address. It's not what you think it is.
Nope.
No, it's
Emails at giantbomb.com.
no. It's
bigbagofhair@gmail.com.
the hair witch at yahoo.co.uk.
Oh, I'm kind of worried about the hair witch now. I don't know about this. I don't like that we're making her real.
If you are a hair witch and you would like to send us an email,
Our hair.
yeah, okay. Have you got too much hair? What do you want to do with it? Can you send us an email, please?
Okay, like maybe if you're super cool and like if you like wrestling, like no, I'm not. Let's not do this.
We do not want your hair. No. But if you have a hairy tale to tell us, let's say.
Have you slept with a hair witch?
Yeah.
Was it worth it?
What has the human body done?
Ask us for the boss at gmail.com.
Tell us about your experiences.
Brian.
Yes.
What's that email?
It's askletsfightaboss@gmail.com.
The first email, Brian, what do you got?
Okay, this is a quick one, okay? This one is from Plankton Star Pants. That's what they chose to be known as, and I'm respecting their decision, I guess. It said in the email to please say Plankton Star Pants. Okay, I think that's a SpongeBob reference, I assume. If each of you were a dog, a house, and a cool postal office worker, which one would you be and why?
Wow.
So I guess that's kind of a conundrum where it's like the postal officer is going to the house to deliver the post. The dog is guarding the house. Which one of us is that in that situation?
Oh, so we don't just pick one of each.
I guess we could. I just like the hypothetical scenario that I read this email and I was like, whoa. And I just imagined like a little dog Niamh being like, don't come into this house, John.
Yeah, I know.
Brian's sleeping.
That's the configuration my mind went to straight away.
So me dog, you're mailman, and Brian is the house.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely the house.
So I live inside your warm body and I keep you safe.
Yes.
From John.
It's not unlike how it works now.
That's how a podcast is made, everyone.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's people inside each other.
Okay. I can feel it's getting late. I can feel
It's not even that late,
the
John.
night strange kicking in.
I haven't even.
We got time. We can do some emails.
This email from Plankton ends with P.S. You all cool, and I just wanted people to hear that.
That we're cool, not the listeners.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
there are 3 cool people listening, or who are part of this podcast. The 4th person, I don't know. Are you cool?
Are you?
I gotta say, like, I have met a lot of our fans at cons and stuff. Not impressed.
Not cool.
So mean. They're lovely people.
Brian, it's just us talking here, buddy.
We're not being recorded right now.
No, I don't think so.
Fuck them.
Fuck. That'll keep the little SOBs happy.
No. I know they're fantastic.
Our fans are so sweet. They're the fucking coolest.
They're really good at just being polite.
Yeah, and drowning out the insults, I guess.
Yeah,
we love
fantastic.
You guys.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, I like the Let's Fight a Boss fans because they're always like, "Oh, Brian, you said hi." I'm like, "Oh, no problem." Of course, Super Eye Patch Wolf fans are like, "Well, here's my theory about this character from Hunter x Hunter." And it's,
cool,
yeah,
cool, sir.
Yep.
All right,
please just take your autograph and move on, sir.
We got this email from Mo.
Go for it.
Dear Let's Fight a Boss, greetings from India. I recently found the podcast and I've been binging it from the beginning. I'm a CG.
It blows my mind that people do that.
I know.
It's like, sure,
but thank you.
It's a weird time capsule.
Yeah. I'm a CG generalist, and it's been severely enjoyable to listen to the podcast as I work on all sorts of personal projects.
I think that's like our front of the box quote. Severely enjoyable. That's I like that.
Cautiously pleasant. And that's sort of where the problem lies. I work on a project until about 50 to 90% of the way and then just stop. Most times I abandon the project. Sometimes I'll put aside all previous work and start over, like modeling the same characters twice. It's not like I lose motivation. I don't have any attention issues. It just seems like this weird mental block that stops me from finishing things. Even if I'm almost done with something, I can't seem to take the final step. Professional help is hard to come by here, and since all of you are creative professionals as well, I would love to know if you have any advice for me. Thanks for your time, Mo. And then there's a PS. Being Ace, I'm really glad how inclusive the podcast is, especially in regards with Niamh. Clearly the strongest I'm not going to do it.
Clearly the strongest member of the podcast. Thanks,
Guys,
Mo.
Niamh's so physically weak, it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. You could kick her in the shins and
Yeah.
she'd crumble.
Yeah.
I know, but my fiery will.
Your fiery will is genuinely terrifying.
Relentless.
I think this comes down to two things with not being able to finish something. So here's my theory. One is it was the act of doing it all along that was fun. Like, you just wanted to model a character, and it doesn't really matter about finishing it. You know, it's just like you wanted to explore that part of it. Was just maybe even the starting part is your favorite. Like, a lot of the time it's more like, ooh, the idea, and I'll do a rough sketch and I'll never finish it because it was more fun to put down the shapes than it is to spend the time rendering and finishing something off.
Totally.
Second theory is sometimes, and I find this myself, is I don't go to finish things because then I don't have to show anyone, and then I don't ever have to get feedback on it.
Yes.
And that can be a good reason where you don't really want the feedback, or a bad reason where you're afraid of the feedback, or you're afraid of putting your work out there, you know? So I don't know which one of them it is for you, but it's probably a good thing to feel that out for yourself, because a lot of them, like
I'd kind of have 2 points with that as well. And the first one, like, I'd echo your statement a lot, Niamh, about like not wanting to finish it. But like, I have a feeling with projects now where if I don't finish a project, it's still mine, because no one else can really have an opinion on it because it's not done. But once it's done, it's not really mine anymore. And that can be kind of hard sometimes, because sometimes, like, if you really get into a project, there can be really a kind of comfort to working on it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm working on something now that I'm working on for a month, and it's been very difficult, but it's been very fun as well. And it's kind of just something I get, you know, kind of lost in for like 10 hours a day or whatever it is. And I know that's going to be finished soon, and it's going to go out there, and it's not mine anymore. And that makes me kind of sad. The other part of it is I really feel, say, like, when you're working on a project, there's all these different skill sets, and it's going to be different skill sets for different things. And some of it's going to be like, you know, the skill of looking at your own project and critiquing it and being like, I could do this better, so I'm going to redo this. Maybe some of it's like getting the motivation to get started, or just the technical skills it takes to make that project. I've started looking at finishing a project like its own separate skill. I think that's something that you can actively get better at the more you do it, and learning to push yourself past that last 20%, because the last 20% for me is usually the point I hit like 80%. I'm like, this is garbage, I shouldn't have done this. But a lot of the time when I push past that point and just force myself to finish it, I'm always happy I did. You know, like, it always feels good that I did. And so I always try and finish stuff just to like get those experience points of finishing a project, because I think those are important. And it sounds, what's this person's name, Bryan? Mo. It sounds to me, Mo, it's like you could probably do it like leveling up in that department a little bit if you're never finishing anything. If you're never finishing anything and you're just happy working on it, it doesn't matter. But if you do want to finish more stuff, I think you, like, the practice you need is not the specific like craft, it's actually just getting into that mindset, finishing something and walking away from it. And there's never a clear cut point to walk. I don't think I've ever finished anything that wasn't like more than a simple sketch and just thought, okay, I'm done and this is the perfect point to end it. It always just feels like you always feel like you're kind of cutting that umbilical cord, you know what I mean? There's never a clean way to do it. You just got to do it. And then you walk away, and the only way to really walk away from it is to start something new.
Yeah. I also like Mo said that they are a generalist, a CG generalist. I'm a design generalist, so you spend a lot of time stretching a lot of different muscles. So I can see why you might have a lot of whips, because you're probably a little bit of a jack of all trades. You know, you kind of like to try different things and explore different things. So you kind of feel like you don't need to finish it because it's nearly just the act of trying it is good.
It's being passed on to someone down the line.
And you can view your whip folder as a sketchbook. Like maybe you didn't finish it today, but maybe in 3 months' time you might open whip number 3 and you're like, I actually liked an idea. I explored in this and I want to use it in something else, or I want to finish it off, you know?
Yeah. What do you think, Brian?
I'm over 90% done with a project right now, and it's so tempting to just go, nah.
Yeah, right.
Oh my god, it's like I was.
Have you had that moment where like you watch it back and you're like, what have I been fucking doing?
Oh yeah.
Isn't that horrifying?
Yeah.
All those jokes sound so fucking smart in the fucking edit, and now you're just a piece of shit. That's how I talk to myself.
There's a bunch of stuff where I'm like, oh, I need to refilm that bit. That gives I don't like what that's doing. It's way too inside my head. A few months ago I did a 10,000 piece jigsaw puzzle, and I posted a photograph of my work in progress of the jigsaw puzzle, and I prefer the photo of the work in progress of the jigsaw puzzle than the complete puzzle, because the complete puzzle looks like what it looks like on the box, and the satisfaction of making that jigsaw puzzle and the midway point where like you're over 50% with it and you just have to finish the puzzle was a lot of fun. And this was at a friend's house abroad back at the beginning of the year, but as I was leaving I was like, do whatever you want with that jigsaw puzzle, like just, you know, toss it all in the box, just don't show it to me when you do it, because I've got a version of that's in my head. But I guess there's something more interesting about showing a work in progress, like just a screen grab of like, here's like the schematics of something and not the final piece, is way more interesting sometimes. So even if something is between 50 and 90% done, screenshotting that without an explanation has way more of an allure than the final piece sometimes.
One of my favorite artists on Twitter does that all the time. She very rarely posts final pieces to her Twitter. I think they must go on Patreon or something like that. But a lot of her pieces are screen caps of, like, you know, Photoshop or Clip or whatever she's using, and she'll
it's got a bit of a workstation to it.
Yeah, and she'll literally put, like, if she's doing not safe for work or something, she'll put the like color picker over a piece of body. So it's
really interesting.
Yeah, so it's like this kind of work in progress kind of thing, but it's in itself a finished piece because she's, you know, showing it to us. It's Marin on Twitter, if anyone's interested in looking up her work.
Love Marin.
But like, I get what Brian is saying as well, that there's always a mystique and something alluring of the kind of the not fully finished thing.
Yeah, it's got an unlimited potential at the very end.
Exactly, yeah, and like there's always the hope that you could do something more with it, whereas when it's finished, it's like there is nothing left to do, and this is all it turned out to be.
Yeah.
And like, even if you're really happy with that, like, you know, I'm always thinking about how I could have done things differently.
Yeah. So I think it's like, whenever you're happiest with that project, just take a screenshot of it, even if it's just for yourself. Yeah. Or save a version of it right there and then. That's satisfying to you. And that could be applied to anything.
Mo, best of luck.
Hell yeah. Okay, do you want to do one more email?
What time are we? Yeah, let's do it. We got time.
Yeah, we do. We have plenty of time. There's one about time capsules. You want to do that? Because, you know, that sort of came up already.
Yeah. Will I read it?
Sure.
This is from Surge. Hey, Gay Panic, Childbirth, and the world's best Robot John impersonator. I've been listening to all the old episodes of Let's Fight a Boss Again, and it's been a really special to take this odd little trip down memory lane. 4 years isn't that long in the grand scheme of things, but it's crazy how much can happen in such a short period of time. I wanted to start by saying thank you. Life's been really hard lately, as you can imagine, and being able to listen to these old podcasts has given me something stable that I can do pretty much anytime I want. I only listen to tree video game podcasts, and I can't really backlog True Castle Super Beast very well for tragic reasons, and the Gymquisition is a bit too short to set it and forget it. You three are all fantastic. Thank you for all the content you produce. Niamh, I particularly like your Twitter threads. Oh, thank you. First, do any of you go back and listen to older episodes? This is less a question and more an observation, but I think weekly, bi-weekly podcasts make fantastic time capsules to go back over and see what was trending. In particular, it was odd listening to podcasts before the Switch came out, and how apprehensive everyone was about it, only to quickly pivot to thinking it's basically the best console on the market. In particular, it was odd hearing John comment on how the Switch was there was basically nothing to play compared to these days. In particular, I wanted to bring up episode 62, where Niamh reported on some Paris Game Expo that announced Ghost of Tsushima and showed a trailer for The Last of Us 2 back in 2017. First, I was wondering if you even remember that trailer, which you criticized for showing contextless brutality, and John in particular, how it related back to the weak story of sexual harassment claims at Naughty Dog. Wow, how little changes. Was the scene ever given context in the game? I bring it up not to stir the anti-TLOU2 pot, just because I find it fascinating that those two games, one of which isn't out yet, were still being talked about all that time ago. At the exact same time, you used to have recaps of Game of Thrones, and that simply isn't part of the zeitgeist anymore. Just an observation on how some things move in slow motion while others fly by at the speed of sound. I don't have much of a question, just a topic of discussion. Do you think things from this episode will be relevant 3 years from now? Do you think you'll look back on some of these episodes talking about the reveals of PS5 and Xbox X? I wonder how accurate and truthful they've been with the pre-release material. Oh yeah, John, I just wanted to say you actually believe Persona 6 would be out in 2020. Though Bryan was very quickly pushed that timetable back to back that same episode. I also love and miss President Evil. It was a great podcast segment. Your ardent supporter, Serge. P.S. I love all three of you.
Oh, thanks.
Serge, you're a goddamn sweetheart.
Thank you, Serge.
I don't remember the episode he's talking about at all.
I remember the trailer. I think it was I do remember. It's the trailer where you first see Abby and everyone was like, is that Ellie's mom? because everyone has to be related to everyone and everything. Is Broom Boy Anakin's baby? Like fucking who cares?
Jesus, Niamh, I'm not going to tell you my fucking Star Wars theories you're going to bring up on the podcast.
I remember that scene. It was the scene where Abby gets hung, I think.
Oh, I remember that trailer.
Yeah, and
that was rough.
It was a brutal trailer. Yes, there is contact for that scene, and it was still brutal, and I still did not like it. It was one of my least favorite scenes in the game. Ghost of Tsushima is out now, and I haven't played it. It's interesting because, 4 years doesn't seem that long in general, but 4 years is about the time of, a game getting made, game development time for a lot of video games.
Yeah, about 3 or 4 years, four or five for AAA.
Yeah, so it's we have these first reactions to trailers, and then we kind of get to play them, and it's cool to have that time capsule to kind of see that change. Because I know, a lot of people pointed out, it was this in timestamp moments where we say stuff like, "Tree Houses looks like a load of bullshit," and then to juxtapose that,
you ate your word.
with us giving a game of the year.
Was the best 6 out of 10 game that came out last year.
It's a very good game, John.
Yeah, I really like that game.
For me, one of the reasons I like doing the podcast is I see it as a time capsule. I love the idea of being 60 or some shit and listen back to episode 33 of this and just be like, wow, this stuff was so important to me, and this was such an interesting time in my life. So I actually really think that's why I think people should podcast in general. Maybe no one will ever listen to it, but if you're lucky enough to have friends who want to record with you, it does make a nice little moment where you get to talk to your friends about stuff you're into.
I think people should record their conversations.
Yeah. I know that sounds weird, but yeah.
All the time. And then send them to me. I'm compiling a data set. I think it's a super fun thing to do. I think when we do the podcast, especially hosting it, I think I get very on the podcast, and I go into a sort of mood where I really don't remember a lot of what I said afterwards. I don't know what I said five podcasts ago. I definitely don't remember what I said 5 years ago. Very occasionally I'll go back and just listen to an old podcast for like a couple of minutes, and I don't. It's nearly kind of uncomfortable in a way because I don't remember. It's me talking. I don't remember these conversations, but like that happens to me a lot. Like I have videos I don't remember. I had an experience at a con last year. Someone was like, "What about this video?" And I was like, "That wasn't me." And they were like, "Yeah, it was. You made this video." And I was like, "I really don't think I did." And then I was like, "Oh my god, I did!" You know?
Whoa.
But yeah, it's super weird. The Game of Thrones thing hits me a lot because like that
was a thing from last decade that is not going to be this decade at all.
Yeah, it fell out of the zeitgeist. It plummeted out of the zeitgeist.
Good
like
riddance.
nothing I have ever seen. And like everyone's so disdainful of Game of Thrones now, and it makes me sad because like Game of Thrones gave me a lot of good times. A lot of good times. Like I love that TV show, except for the last season.
It really shows how, even though a lot of, like, you will say, you know, it's the journey that matters, that if you have a stinker of an ending, that journey, you know, can be tarnished.
Yeah, like you have to cross the finish line.
Yeah.
Gotta stick that landing.
Yeah.
Did not.
But yeah, it's weird. Sometimes I listen to the old episodes and I'm like, man, I sound so happy.
I've listened to a lot of older episodes to edit best of sections. Very weird. It's kind of like talking patterns or jokes that we don't make anymore because it's a younger version of ourselves.
A lot of times I hear myself and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't think that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stop using my voice.
Yeah, it's someone. It's a stranger that sounds like you. That's what it is.
Even like Brian, you put up a best of recently, and I think I was going on about buying like Battlefield or some shit. I did not buy that game. I did not play that game. So it's like it's so weird what you're into or what you think you might think of something, and then it might come out and you might not engage with it at all, or you might just completely be on the other side of it.
I'd really love to go back and listen to I'd love to listen to like the first hour of myself, the first time I talked about Shenmue 3 on this podcast, because that whole thing was such a fucking journey, and I'm just like, what was I like at the start? What was I like just before Shenmue 3 came out? Because I don't remember now, because that whole thing is just such scorched earth.
The podcast is 5 years old now, and it's just 5 years old. And the first episode was around E3 2017. Sorry, E3 2015.
Yep.
And I wonder, are there any games from E3 2015 that still haven't come out yet, or did everything come out? And do we have like
the first episode's on the black tapes, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/.
It's free to listen to on the Patreon.
So it's not free.
It's free.
The first one, I think the first one is as a taste.
We should upload the first one. Fuck it.
Yeah.
It's there.
We'll talk about it.
Okay. I can't think of any game that. Well, with Scalebound, I think we were like, Scalebound looks so weird.
I would have played Scalebound.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah.
And it's also like what I think is interesting is because we do these bi-weekly, and depending on how fast or not fast we get through a game. Like I remember the first episode I played Nier, and I was just like, yeah, Nier, I think I like that. And then by the second time I talk about it, I'm just like, fucking yeah, Nier, it's the best game.
Same with me and Senran and Kagura.
Oh, John.
Just two really personal games.
Or just even like I think Red Dead Redemption is going to be our example forever, because both of me and John were just like
so
lukewarm. And then like the more I think
the
about
ending
it,
paid off.
Yeah, well, just even thinking it in terms of like The Last of Us 2, I think like when you want to make us like, there's a lot of games trying to be cinematic experiences, and I think the only one that actually kind of landed that was Red Dead, like compared to like say Death Stranding and The Last of Us 2.
It was weird because like say if I go back and think and like listen to myself talking about Red Dead on the podcast, it's going to be impossible not to think of like what it was like playing Red Dead. Like when I played Red Dead, I was so fucking depressed, like worse than I had ever been. And it was kind of an amazing game for that. And when I specifically, like when I go back and listen to podcasts like that, it's nearly hard not to kind of go back there. Do you know what I mean? It's weird.
It's like association just with everything. Media, with feelings, with time, with this podcast. Like just things become so linked, even though you kind of forget them.
Yeah. Just, different points in your life. Like TV shows from college that kind of come back into your life, and when you watch them, you kind of remember like the dinners you used to eat back then, or like your routine from back then.
Yeah.
And it's a different version of yourself.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's weird to revisit that stuff.
Brian, we got one more before we finish up.
There's one, but I'm not comfortable answering it.
Well, then don't fucking talk about it.
What one?
I'm trying to find one.
I have one from Niamh here about most embarrassing fuck-ups.
Oh my god.
Hi, what was your most embarrassing fuck-ups involving technology? For me, it was thinking most of my life that electrical tapes conducts electricity. To add insult to injury, I had realised this when I was halfway through an electrical engineering degree. Regards, Niamh.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
I used to think black and white movies, I used to think that's what it used to look like back then.
I mean, thinking like as a child, I would get that.
Yeah, I was
Child
like,
logic.
I was like, yeah, they didn't have color until like the 60s.
What was like that thing? I don't know if it's real at all, but they said before the invention of color television, people used to dream in black and white.
Yeah,
I'd believe that for sure. That's mad.
I don't know if I perceive color in dreams. It's like more of a.
Have you ever dreamt in
memory.
another language?
No, have
No,
you?
never.
Yeah, I have. I've dreamt in Irish a few times when I was in
Really?
Irish college.
Oh, I started thinking in Irish and dreaming in Irish. That was really weird.
Because you're so ingrained, and because you're much younger at the time,
Yeah.
because you're a kid. Like it just soaks into you.
Technology fuck ups. I'm really good with technology.
You are.
I'm kind of into that.
I remember, Brian, we used to work in a place where occasionally they'd call one of the two of us in for a job where we'd have to record an ad to VHS.
Oh my god! Oh, that fucking Avid machine.
But it was like this just decades old machine, and it was so hard to use.
And you had to line it up with the correct timestamp.
Yeah, and it was like so frustrating to do. Like I don't remember the specifics of it now, and you could not pay me to do it ever again. But I remember like my boss tried to show it to me, and like she was lovely, and her trying to show it to me resulted in her crying because she couldn't get it right, and I felt so bad for her.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was just like nightmare technology that was like, it was all analog. There was
That place fucking sucked.
Yeah, it did.
Do you remember how they had like brand new Macs, but everyone had to bring in their own laptop and work in front of it?
Yep. It was so weird.
These are just for show.
I'm trying to think of like technological fuck ups I've made. Oh, you know what? Actually, I remember one. This was not long before we went to LA, and I was working on the One Piece video, and like I was working like
Oh my god! Yeah.
24/7 on that fucking video because like we were gonna fly to LA. I needed to get it out, and Bryan was over, and
Hey, it was just a simple favor.
Bryan just needed me to format a memory stick for him, and I was like, sure. And so I put it in, and I formatted the memory stick, and we were waiting. And then I was like, oh, Bryan, do you wanna come check out some of the video? And you were like, yeah. And
yeah,
like,
I love One Piece.
He came in, and I opened up Premiere, and it was all red, and I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, man, I don't know what happened. Like, look, this just must be something weird. And I gave your memory stick back, whatever. And then I remember it was me, you, and Michelle standing out in the hall, and it just hit me. I hadn't formatted Bryan's memory stick. I had formatted my whole hard drive with like a month's work. And it was like, I got so upset because like I had been working so much that I wasn't thinking clearly. And now stuff like this was happening, you know what I mean?
It was really interesting to see someone like physically crumble.
Brian.
No, because he realized, and I was like, "Why? What's wrong?" And then John was explaining to me, and then I was like, "Oh!" And then like I could see him like 10 seconds ahead of where I was just about to be.
Oh, okay.
And like you get that pins and needles where like you break apart into individual particles, but you still have to like move your body to the computer.
Yeah, it was
just double check.
It was just devastating. It was like the worst. But then I ended up like paying $100 for some program that can get formatted hard drives back, and I actually managed to recover most of it by the next morning. But that was a long night, and then I think like we were going to LA like the next day as well, and it was just Yeah, there's some rough parts to that video, we'll say.
It's a good video. It's got like 1 million views.
Does it?
Yeah.
What are people fucking doing?
There's One Piece. Why you should watch it.
Just watch it.
There's a pirate in it, I'm sure.
Is there?
Yeah.
I actually never watched the show.
I actually did that. Could you actually reformat the memory stick because it needs to...
You didn't do it.
Like, could you do me another solid?
Sure.
Because you can't do it on a Mac because Macs are fucking weird.
Bad.
Yeah, the word's bad.
I'd more like say a closed system, but yeah, no, I guess bad.
A closed, shitty system that nothing works on, and people are like, "Pay more money, sure. At least it'll be more powerful." No, it's not more powerful, but I like the apples. Sorry.
It looks great. Everyone likes apples. John, come on, you're always eating apples.
I do eat a lot of apples. Yeah.
Yeah, so just get an Apple computer.
You make a compelling case.
Yeah. It's just follow that hype.
Follow that hype. Do the yous have any big technology fuck ups?
Just ones where I cause problems to others.
You didn't cause that problem. You were always like hard on yourself over that, because remember you told me how upset you were, and like it wasn't your fault at all. I had been working like multiple 16-hour days and just not thinking.
I guess to me I was like the catalyst for it.
Like it would have been that. I would have set myself on fire. Something would have happened. That's why I don't work like that anymore, because it's like it's genuinely unhealthy and you do awful things. Speaking of which, Patreon shoutouts.
You type it, we say it.
You type it, we say it. We are morally obligated to say 99.9% of words that you put together.
Yeah, but do please follow the rules of the Discord, guys. They're doing great.
Bryan will get up your ass if you break the rules of the Discord.
Yep. So we have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/LFAB. If you pledge to it, we have a really, really cool Discord with a lot of lovely people. I haven't been on it that much the last few days, but I have checked in on it, and it's real funny because sometimes someone will say something saucy, and then they'll go, "No, Bryan will see that," and then they're talking about me, but I just let them squirm. It's real good.
It's weird sometimes when you see them talking about you, and it's like a big, long conversation. I saw that conversation, I don't know when it was like a year or two ago, but it was like, is John bi? I see everything you little fuckers say, alright?
There was one about the poem I wrote for you, and someone was like, has anybody like wrote a detailed explanation as to what every line of that poem means?
Oh man, I'd love to see that from someone who doesn't know us.
Yeah, I want to know someone's interpretation of that, because like
I think there's stuff in there that, like, I know Niamh will get like 99% of it, but would the average podcast listener?
Because like you got everything I said, didn't?
100%.
Okay, yeah.
Like all good poetry, it can be read in many ways.
Yeah, it's just that good a poem. Real proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's read these.
This one is from Mad. If you are looking for a good podcast to pass the time, I recommend the Let's Fight a Boss podcast. Hashtag shout out. This is definitely the right place for me to do this. Man, thank you so much for that. That's going to bring in so many new listeners, and we really appreciate it.
Just really, really well picked words. Fantastic.
Yeah. This is from Yi.
Who also has a little flower.
With a little flower.
Class.
I was listening to episodes 99 and 100 while on a camping road trip with my family. And I just wanted to say that I will be forever grateful to y'all for helping me unwind, laugh, and not be totally awful and grumpy during a stressful, most unpleasant trip. Thank you, guys. I'm sorry your trip was bad, but we love you.
Yeah, you're brilliant. Then this is from Idris, aka Doodle. He's part of the milk cult. That's a thing that's going on at the moment. They're fighting over what's better, milk or eggs.
Milk.
I can't pick.
Although eggs are pretty good.
See, it's really hard to pick.
Yeah, if I don't know which one I'd give up, actually.
See, I like pancakes and they're in both, so yeah.
I'm a big cereal guy.
Can't make tea with egg.
Yeah, that's a
Can't make good pancakes without milk.
Anyway, Idris says, the more I listen to this podcast, the more I realize that John's taste in video games is very different from mine. I got Yakuza 0 and Silent Hill 2 on PS2 a while ago, and now I'm scared to try them.
Just try them, you coward.
Idris, come on, dude. It's
Come on, Jesus.
Stop wussing out.
Idris.
just play
Idris,
the game.
come on.
Just play
Do
the
it.
game, Idris.
All right.
Idris, be sure to leave another Patreon shout out to about how you found them, and we will get to that maybe the middle of next year.
Maybe.
Yeah. Loot drop.
We're at the end of this show. We got some good stuff for you. Here you go.
Yep. I gotta go with my old reliable In Praise of Shadows. Recently dropped an hour and 10-minute video on the history of Reanimator. And it's really good because Reanimator is based on an old Lovecraft property, so it's technically in public domain, so anyone can make a Reanimator thing. And it was a really interesting look at that, but also a very interesting section on how Lovecraft was a total fucking racist and just kind of a shitty person.
Yeah, he's super racist.
Yeah, he's just
fuck
not
him.
even slightly not racist, just 100% racist.
A very hateful person.
Completely inexcusable and a misogynist.
Yep, Lovecraft is good when other people take his ideas and make them better.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of exactly what this is about.
Okay, my one is an entire channel. This is one of my favorite comfort channels. And this is Bernadette Banner. And she is the exact example of someone with a special interest who makes their entire life about that special interest. She makes Victorian clothing, period accurate
cool.
clothing. And everything she does in her life surrounds this. Like, she makes all the pieces herself, and she tries to use as accurate as possible ways of doing it. She'll make thimbles from leather because it's more accurate. She will do it to a point where until it gets kind of inconvenient. But it's just like the music she uses, just the way she speaks, like just everything about her is someone so dedicated to their hobby that it's honestly just fascinating. And she's just a very educated and insightful person on her specific hobby, and as someone who has no interest in like Victorian clothing other than it looks really cool, it's still really, really engaging and fascinating to watch someone's journey from like I just watched a video of her creating a petticoat, and it's just hours of her stitching and explaining why she's using a stitch here.
There's a specific kind of comfort when you're watching someone super like passionate and insightful and skillful at something, and sitting back and being like, I'm never going to be good at this.
Yeah.
And that feels great.
She's so knowledgeable, and it's just like it's just I love when people are passionate about stuff, and it's just she's taken her passion to the next level, and it's a great channel just to put on and just listen to in the background.
Sounds good.
Mine is a YouTube channel called Origami TV, and they archive video game adverts from the 90s and 2000s. And they do the obvious games, right? You know, you've got your mainline Mario games, whatever. They have all the Silent Hill ads. They have all the Jack and Daxter ads.
I've never seen Silent Hill ads.
They're okay. They've got one for Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, right? For
Okay.
PlayStation 1. But it's an action movie ad. So, like, it's showing explosions and, like, people fighting and punching. And, like, that's kind of what Resident Evil is now. But, like, that's how it was marketed as 25 years ago.
That's really interesting.
It's nuts. This channel only has, like, 2,000 subs for some reason. And they've been posting videos for, like, a very long time. And they post a video every couple days. But it's cool because all the ads are in 4:3, but they formatted it widescreen. But they have these cool little borders where they'll have the controllers for whatever system the ad is for, which is really nice.
Oh, nice.
It's just really, really well presented, and it's nice to have put on as a playlist. I've been watching a lot of old video game ads because I've been trying to find a specific one, which I found, and this channel does a great job of archiving stuff.
You gonna tell us what that specific ad was?
It actually wasn't on that channel, but maybe they'll archive it at some point. But it was just some Kirby ad. It's okay.
Okay. Guess that's gonna do it for Let's Fight a Boss. At least this episode.
I'm sure we'll do another one.
Things got a little hairy.
That was a really weird eye movement.
It was kind of a blink, but I bailed halfway through, so it was kind of like
the muscles of your face did a blink, but the eyelids did not fold over, so it kind of looked like your head was trying to eat your eye.
I've honestly fell asleep with my eyes open a bunch of times and freaked the shit out of people on trains.
You really didn't nail that joke.
Oh.
Hey-oh.
I think I'm ready to end this now.
You don't want to wrap it up, put it in a bag?
Why do we always end up here at the end of a podcast where I'm like, okay, that's it, and then Bryan, and then Niamh, fucking, I'm sick of it. I'm sick. I don't want to do this anymore.
So how about we say nice things to John? Like, John, I want to crawl inside your skull and live in your head and keep you warm.
I want to have a little miniature brush so I can just brush your hair.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I want to have a very long nose so that I can smell you.
Like an anteater?
Yeah, but like I want to be able to like stand below his bedroom window and kind of extend my nose and kind of like hook it over.
So I wake up at night and there's like an elongated nose hanging over me.
Well, it looks like a weird long piece of flesh and it like flops over the windowsill.
So somewhere between Mr. Tickle and an anteater.
Yeah. And I just want to give you a little sniff.
Goodbye, everybody. Hey guys, real quick before we finish up, Bryan is going to be away for the next podcast and we're talking about it, and honestly I don't think we're just really that crazy about doing like kind of episodes where one of the cast is missing, so what we might do is we might push it back by a week, but we will have something else going up that day on the YouTube channel. So if you're really missing us, if you need your Let's Fight a Boss fix, check the YouTube channel instead of the podcast on the next upload day, and we'll have something a little special for you there. Love you. Mwah.